Chapter 1756. There wasn't even a maid at the door to welcome the guests. After entering, Xiaochen took the initiative to call for a maid, a private room and a table of good wine. Xiaochen said. The maid smiled faintly and said, "Young master is alone, right?" Xiaochen pondered for a moment. "Prepare 2 portions." After entering the private room, Xiaochen felt suspicious. He asked, "What's wrong? Is there no manager in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion recently? It's so deserted, not even a shadow can be seen." The maid smiled apologetically and said, "This young master, it should have been a long time since you came to Soaring Dragon City. Our Smiling Daughter Pavilion's fairy basket was stolen nearly a year ago. All the leaders have already returned to the imperial capital, and the headquarters have their own arrangements, so they can't return to Soaring Dragon City for the time being." When Xiaochen heard that, he felt slightly stunned. Then he recalled that Jiang He seemed to have stolen the fairy basket from the Smiling Daughter Pavilion at that time. Now it was lying peacefully in his storage ring, covered in dust. If Zhang Xian hadn't mentioned it, he would have forgotten about it. "Without the fairy basket, can't you make another one?" Xiaochen asked, confused. The maidservant smiled and said, "That will be difficult. A fairy is not something that can be casually created. It is a top-notch Dao artifact with complicated craftsmanship and complicated array formations. It will take at least 3 years. I don't know what will happen when the time comes." It turned out that forging fairy blue required so much effort. This surprised Xiaochen. Xiaochen picked up his wine cup and took a sip. Then he did not linger on this matter. Instead he asked, "I wish to ask about headliner Ling Long. Do you know where she went and when she left?" The maidservant smiled warmly and said, "What a coincidence. I am headliner Ling Long's personal maidservant. My young miss also went to the capital. She left more than half a year ago and should have left a long time ago. But at that time, there was a silly boy who wanted to learn something called the pipa. I don't know what happened, but Miss actually agreed. With this delay, it took me another 2 months to leave." "Learning the pipa?" Xiaochen could not help smiling. Little martial nephew Ling Yu is really going all out. "All right, you can go now. I'll call you if there's anything." "All right, young master, please enjoy." After the maidservant left, Xiaochen rummaged through his storage ring. In a corner he found the dusty fairy basket. After staying in Dragon Flame City for so long, Xiaochen had been so busy cultivating that he nearly forgot that he had a peak Dao tool. He remembered that when he tried to subdue it, he nearly got trapped inside. He had to sever his own spiritual sense before he finally managed to escape. Now that he had condensed his soul will, his soul energy was much stronger than before. He should be able to subdue this fairy basket and place his spiritual mark in it. Then he would gain complete control of this top-notch Dao artifact. Xiaochen's spiritual sense entered the fairy basket. Soon it penetrated deep into it. In an instant he was trapped in a maze. Countless ancient screens appeared, crisscrossing and arranged in a complicated manner, just like last time. The Xiaochen formed by the spiritual sense was trapped inside, unable to get out at all. However, this time was different from the last time. Xiaochen's strength was no longer what it was in the past, incomparable to the past. "Break!" With a shout, Xiaochen condensed his will of soul and merged it with his spiritual sense. Then it burst out. A beam of azure light shot out, and in an instant, all the screens were reduced to dust that filled the sky. The dust became like snowflakes drifting in the dark void. Unlike last time, this time, snowflakes filled the air but did not form a new maze. This was because Xiaochen had already broken the maze's origin from its foundation. There would no longer be a boundless maze that could never be broken. Xiaochen advanced amid the flying dust. Then he saw a sleeping woman at the end of the maze. This woman looked like a fairy with her eyes closed, looking like she had just fallen asleep. Her eyelashes were clear, and her skin was as fair as snow. The Azure Lotus Fairy. She was the founder of the Smiling Daughter Pavilion. Back then, when countless spirit jades flew into the fairy basket, she was the woman who performed the sword dance. Xiaochen still remembered the scene of flowers filling the hall, intoxicating 3,000 guests, and one sword strike freezing 14 provinces. That elegant sword dance and the final sword strike were still fresh in Xiaochen's mind, something he found hard to forget. When this woman was alive, she must have been a peerless beauty. Every frown and every smile of hers could topple nations. Hence, she was given the title of the Azure Lotus Fairy. Xiaochen moved his gaze away from this woman with some difficulty. Then he circled to the back and removed the spiritual mark that the previous owner left behind. Then he imprinted a strand of his will of soul in it. The fairy basket officially changed owners. At this moment, the dark space lit up. When Xiaochen's feet landed on the ground, he discovered a vast formation in his surroundings. That was right. It really was a vast formation. The sky was dotted with stars, and the moon palace hung high. With the bright moon as the eye of the formation, the not-so-bright stars formed 999 different formations. Hundreds of flowers bloomed on the ground, competing with each other in beauty. A sea of flowers stretched out as far as the eye could see. Xiaochen could not see how many formations filled the sea of flowers. The sky and the ground were connected. The formations formed by the many stars were connected to the flower formations. With just a slight movement, the stars moved, and the flowers bloomed and withered. There were thousands of changes, mysterious and unfathomable. The Azure Lotus Fairy quietly lay among the hundreds of flowers. Now Xiaochen believed it. This Dao tool did indeed require at least 3 years to prepare. That was not right. It should be 3 years. Even Xiaochen found this incredible. The sleeping Azure Lotus Fairy looked lovable and piqued his curiosity. Her tightly shut eyes were already so beautiful. If she opened them, what kind of charm would she have? However, this was just a thought. Xiaochen knew the strangeness of this fairy basket. It needed to absorb enough spirit jades before it could activate the formations and bring out mysterious phenomena of different grades. The more spirit jades there were, the more beautiful the mysterious phenomena would be. Rumor had it that no one in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion, the genuine fairy pavilion, had seen the Azure Lotus Fairy appear. It was only in some replicas that Fairy Blue Lotus would occasionally be invited out by wealthy guests to display her unrivaled sword dance. Xiaochen rubbed his chin and frowned heavily as he looked at the stars' formation in the sky and on the ground. With his deep attainments in geomancy, he could tell that there was a peerless killing intent hidden in the complicated formation. However, it was hidden very deeply. Finding it would not be easy. Perhaps the rumors were true, and the fairy basket could not materialize only those beautiful mysterious phenomena that looked good but were useless. If one understood its mysteries, it would become a Dao tool with immeasurable might. Perhaps one did not even need to understand its mysteries. One only needed to activate the formations formed by the stars and the moon in the sky and the vast sea of flowers on the ground. The killing intent might appear. Just think about it. How terrifying would a strand of killing intent condensed from so many formations be? Once it appeared, it would definitely be earth-shattering. However, Xiaochen only thought about it. If he really wanted to activate all the formations in the fairy basket, he would need an astronomical amount of spirit jades. However, he kept it in his hands. In the future, if there was a great crisis, he might be able to use it as a powerful killing weapon. After withdrawing his spiritual sense from the fairy basket and returning to reality, Xiaochen drank another cup of wine. The door to the private room opened, and Lan Luo walked in alone. When Lan Luo saw another set of wine on the table, she asked sullenly, "You knew that I would come? Why do you always refuse to listen to me, insisting on killing Longbow?" Lan Luo asked somewhat agitatedly, not sitting down. In Purple Sun City, Xiaochen refused to listen to Lan Luo, leaving behind the Iron Blood War banner, and leaving Purple Sun City. In the Cluster Lord's residence, Xiaochen refused to listen to Lan Luo again, directly killing Long Bo. The two incidents were very similar. Lan Luo simply could not understand. Xiaochen thought for a long time before drinking a cup of bitter wine. Then he looked at the wine cup and asked, "Why do you think I have to listen to you? It looks like there are some differences between us that are hard to reconcile within a short time. This wine is on me. If fate wills it, we will meet again in the future. No matter what, I already owe you 2 favors." Lan Luo toyed with the wine cup in her hand and smiled bitterly to herself. Who owes whom? Must you calculate it so clearly? Since they did not get along, Xiaochen felt somewhat helpless in his heart. He wanted to have a good chat with Lan Luo. However, he discovered that their characters were very different. Perhaps it could be said that they were both too strong. Neither gave in to the other. Both felt that they were in the right. Actually, neither was in the wrong. Neither could be blamed. However, there were many things in this world that could not be simply explained by right or wrong. I'll be leaving first. After putting down the wine cup, Xiaochen stood up to leave. Just as he stood up, he discovered that the door to the private room was violently pushed open. 6 people appeared outside. The leader looked at Xiaochen and smiled. You want to leave? Not yet. This was Lu Ruyue's group of people who came to search for Xiaochen. Chapter 1757. When Xiaochen saw the 6 people outside, he instinctively felt a sense of familiarity. A familiar blood flowed in Xiaochen's body. He could sense it with just a slight probe. Their gazes were both familiar and unfamiliar. He could discover it with just one glance. However, Xiaochen did not feel any sense of familiarity. Instead, he became cautious. They came with ill intentions. There was no kindness in these people's eyes. They were all wary and grave. The leader of the group did not hide the ill intent in his eyes at all. In just an instant, Xiaochen understood these people's purpose. They were here for the so-called ancient dragon race totem. Xiaochen said directly, I do not have the ancient dragon race totem on me. You also know that even if the totem is hidden in a storage ring, the people of the dragon race can sense it. Those of the dragon clan can also sense it. You should have your answer now. A person walked out from behind. It was Wuxia. Lu Ruyue favored this dragon race disciple who was steady and steady. However, his strength was not up to par. Wuxia looked at Xiaochen. Xiaochen's aura was somewhat familiar. However, it was also very unfamiliar. Such a situation was not rare. He should be a rather powerful dragon race disciple with a thin bloodline. This was not a divine dragon, a sky dragon, a thunder dragon, or a coiling dragon, a false dragon. This was what the dragon race called mixed blood dragons. Wuxia said after some thought, Don't worry. We do not have any malicious intent. You do not have the aura of a totem on you. However, our holy daughter wants to meet you and understand the ins and outs of the matter. Holy daughter? Xiaochen thought to himself. He felt somewhat curious about this holy daughter. However, he definitely could not go. One might know a person for a long time, but one could not judge their heart. The most important thing was that he could not tell anyone about the underground dragon city. This was especially so for the people of the dragon race. He had plundered so many dragon race treasures, and even inherited the faux god flame. At that time, when the holy daughter asked, how should he answer? If he could not answer, it would arouse suspicion and conflict. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen made his decision. He rejected. I have things to do. If you have any questions, you can ask me now. Furthermore, I do not have the dragon race totem, so I do not have to go with you. Jiangqing smiled in disdain. Reject? Do you have the right to refuse? You're just a lowly, mixed-blood dragon. Whether or not you have a totem is not up to you to decide. Senior brother Wu is just being polite to you. What arrogance! Are all the members of your dragon tribe so arrogant and conceited? When Lan Luo, who was seated, heard the words lowly mixed-blood dragon, her heart skipped a beat, and she immediately became upset. He jumped to his feet and stood beside Xiaochen, staring coldly at Jiangqing. Jiangqing looked at Lan Luo's attire and figure. He smiled coldly and said, The noble clan scions of the dynasty's capital treat your smiling daughter pavilion's women as important people. In my Jiangqing's eyes you are just prostitutes. Scram. As soon as he said those words, he raised his hand and sent a slap over. Impudent. When Xiaochen saw this, he was immediately infuriated. He didn't mind others calling him a mixed-blood dragon. The strong had their own demeanor, and there was no need to bicker with everyone. However, insulting his friend was a completely different matter. Without even thinking, Xiaochen unleashed his aura and punched. 10 cauldron force instantly exploded out, arriving first despite being launched later, and striking Jiangqing's chest. Bang! As the fist light landed, Jiangqing activated the veritable essence energy in his body, and formed a protective shield. Originally, he thought that he could easily block this punch. Who would have imagined that Xiao Chen's punch would contain 10 cauldron force? When the two forces clashed, the moment the two forces clashed, they instantly erupted with vast energy. The entire private room trembled. The various decorations gave off a gentle light, trying to neutralize the surging energy. However, the force that erupted was simply too strong. The screen and the wall paintings only lasted for a moment before they all shattered, clanging endlessly. Jiang Cheng was sent flying by the punch and landed in the middle of the hall. This strange sound startled everyone in the private rooms on this floor. They all peeked out to take a look. Everyone saw Jiang Cheng crashing into the railing of the opposite corridor like a cannonball. Damn it! Jiang Cheng immediately became enraged. He shouted, and an indistinct white dragon figure appeared behind him. However, that white dragon roared ferociously, looking ferocious and scary. A horrifying dragon might erupted from Jiang Cheng's body. Bang! 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 The cultivators watching from the railing could not block this dragon might, and got knocked into the air. Wuxia's expression changed slightly. His first senior sister had repeatedly instructed him not to blow this matter up. However, things still developed to this state. When Xiao Chen felt this dragon might, he saw a dragon-shaped shock wave surging over in front, berserk and ferocious. Stepping forward, Xiao Chen stretched out his hand and shielded Cluster Lord Goyu behind him. Xiao Chen's gaze remained calm as he punched again. This time, he used the might of the blue dragon and erupted with 10 cauldron force. With a loud bang, the dragon-shaped chi wave was shattered on the spot. Whoosh! After this punch worked, Xiao Chen gently pushed off with his feet, not willing to bring the battle to the private room and implicate Lan Luo. Then, he charged out and started an intense battle with Jiang Cheng above the hall. As the two dragons fought, they clashed with each other, neither giving way to the other. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged 10 moves. To outsiders, two completely different dragon images fought in the air, roaring ferociously. A terrifying dragon might spread out everywhere. The shock waves from the two's fight shook the Smiling Daughter Pavilion's protective formation. The entire floor shook, looking like it would collapse at any moment. The two people in the pavilion were 2-star Venerate level experts fighting. In fact, it was even more intense than that. What's going on? The experts guarding the Smiling Daughter Pavilion had been startled long ago. When they saw the scene in the air, they were stunned. When they saw the scene in the air, they showed slightly unsightly expressions. However, they did not dare to make a move. It's the dragon race's people. One of them seems to be of the white dragon bloodline of the 6-colored divine dragons. The dragon race's people? That manager could not help sucking in a breath of cold air. This person's background was too great. There was no way to deal with them. Unless they were in the Yinwu dynasty's capital, they could not afford to offend the people of the 6-colored divine dragons in Soaring Dragon City. This was a bona fide overlord-class bloodline of the Great Desolate 100 races. Even in the Central Great Realm, such an existence would be a proud son of heaven. Not many people dared to offend such a person. Xiao Chen, who was fighting Jiang Cheng, felt somewhat surprised. This person's cultivation was about the same as his. However, the strength that Jiang Cheng burst out with was startlingly strong, no weaker than any star venerates. This was the first time Xiao Chen met with such an opponent within the same cultivation realm. Just a random person from the dragon race was this strong? With this thought, Xiao Chen could not help feeling somewhat disappointed. If that was the case, then wouldn't the so-called dragon god crown prince be boundlessly strong? Noticing Xiao Chen's expression, Jiang Cheng could not help smiling coldly. It is not too late to surrender now. Later, you won't even have the chance to admit defeat. Xiao Chen could not help smiling in shock. You are overthinking. Xiao Chen felt disappointed, but it was not because of Jiang Cheng. It was just that Xiao Chen could tell that Jiang Cheng was not the strongest person in the dragon race. Even so, there was still a huge gap between Xiao Chen and the dragon god crown prince. However, this Jiang Cheng thought too highly of himself, thinking that Xiao Chen feared him. Overthinking? You lowly mixed blood dragon are indeed overthinking. In that case, die. Seeing Xiao Chen's mocking expression, Jiang Cheng became truly enraged. He considered himself superior and placed great importance on bloodlines. The pride in his heart would not allow a mixed-blood dragon like Xiaochun to mock him. Jiangcheng immediately activated his great desolate Ian bloodline. In that instant his aura soared wildly. At this moment the white dragon image behind him seemed very solid. Jiangcheng's dragon eyes turned scarlet, and the ancient great desolate Ian's dragon might reappeared in the world. The dragon might spreading in the air immediately turned incredibly heavy, looking solid. Crack! Crack! Some of the nodes supporting the stairs started to loosen. It looked like the floor was really going to collapse. I'll show a lowly mixed-blood dragon like you what a true noble bloodline is. Jiangcheng lost his patience. He roared as he charged forward, sending out boundless dragon chi. The dragon chi formed many noble white dragon images. As 100 dragons soared into the air, his aura grew infinitely stronger, reaching a frightening level. Ignorant. However, the moment Jiangcheng approached, Xiaochun revealed a look of disdain on his face. Then his eyes suddenly filled with panic. Xiaochun instantly activated his great desolate Ian bloodline. His grade 8 blue dragon bloodline instantly suppressed Jiangcheng's aura. Before the other party could react, Xiaochun kicked. Pussy-eye. Pussy-eye. A hole appeared in the Smiling Daughter Pavilion. Jiangcheng fell to the street like a sandbag. Seeing this scene, Wuxia and the others were all stupefied. This result was truly unexpected. Junior brother Jiang offended me earlier. Sorry for the offense. Wuxia felt very anxious. He only wanted to go out quickly and check on Jiangcheng's injuries. He casually performed a cupped fist salute and apologized to Lan Luo, whom he assumed to be the Smiling Daughter Pavilion's manager. Then he prepared to leave quickly. However, just at this moment, a few exceptionally strong auras tore through the air. These people broke through the Smiling Daughter Pavilion's barrier and landed on the ground. They asked in a rush, "Your Highness, are you all right?" When Wuxia and the others, who had already turned around, heard this, they all turned around to look. They were completely stupefied. This time they really went overboard. They thought about what junior brother Jiangcheng said. He offended the person that they should not offend the most. Chapter 1758. Princess. The person senior martial brother Jiangcheng wanted to slap just now was Princess Goyu, the most beloved daughter of the soaring dragon marquis. First senior sister had repeatedly warned him not to offend this person. But now, everything was messed up. Princess, who are they? Lan Luo said indifferently, people of the dragon race. Wuxia said awkwardly, sorry for the offense. It was just a misunderstanding. Our holy maiden is also very respectful towards the soaring dragon marquis, and bears no ill will towards her highness. Just now, junior brother Jiang mistook the princess for. Lan Luo raised her hand and stopped Wuxia from continuing. She said indifferently, it's fine. I do not wish to have any conflict with the dragon race, either. However, this is my conferred city. There are some things that I can still decide. I don't want to see you in Soaring Dragon City. Understood. Sorry for the offense. Wuxia heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this cluster lord Lan Luo was not an unreasonable person. If a dispute or conflict arose, they would not be a match for the princess's residence no matter how far they traveled. More importantly, they were the ones in the wrong. Junior brother Jiang had stretched out his hand to slap them. This put them in a very disadvantageous position. They couldn't even argue with him, so they could only apologize. Wuxia and the others arrived at the street. Seeing junior brother Jiangcheng crawling out from the deep crater on the ground, his face was pale and he looked extremely sullen. He was actually defeated by the mixed blood dragon that he looked down on the most. Xiaochun, who had always been proud of his white dragon bloodline, could not accept this. Senior brother Wu, why did you come out? Help me capture that brat. If we attack together, he won't be able to overturn the heavens. Seeing Wuxia's group walk out with embarrassed expressions, Jiangcheng immediately shouted, Senior brother Jiang, we have to go today's matter. A girl said in a timid manner. It was obvious that she was afraid of this Jiangcheng. Wuxia patted the girl's shoulder and said, let me say it. Junior brother Jiang, the person you wanted to slap earlier was Countess Goyu. What? Jiangcheng's face was filled with disbelief. How could this be possible? How did that mixed-blood dragon get involved with Cluster Lord Goyu? Furthermore, they even met in a place like the Smiling Daughter Pavilion. Junior Marshal Brother Jiang, don't blame yourself. This isn't all your fault. After all, who would have thought that she would be Princess Goyu? Seeing Zhang Xian's reaction, Wusu consoled softly. Jiang Qing stubbornly said, "She is a princess, and I offended her. I am in the wrong, and I will bear the responsibility alone. But that Xiaochen must still be captured. He must be taken away. Senior Marshal Sister's task must be completed." So. A few figures descended from the building and looked at Jiang Cheng and the others expressionlessly. "When will the few of you be leaving? Her Highness is already urging you to leave," the leader of the group said politely as he looked at Wu Su. Jiang Cheng was unconvinced and wanted to argue. Wu Su stopped him and said with a smile, "It's fine. We'll leave now." At the same time, he secretly transmitted his voice to Jiang Cheng. "Even a fool can see that the Countess has an extraordinary relationship with Xiaochun. It's useless to argue. Report everything to eldest senior sister, and wait for her decision." Jiang Cheng felt aggrieved, but at this moment, the situation was stronger than he was. No matter how sullen he was, he had to continue holding it in. In reality, it was better to be sullen. If he continued to seek trouble for Xiaochun, he would only embarrass himself further. It was just that Jiang Cheng foolishly did not know. After about 7 minutes, the group left Soaring Dragon City. As the group looked at the city walls, they all felt somewhat disappointed. They did not know how to face first senior sister when they returned. Unexpectedly, this Xiaochun is a member of our dragon race. He possesses a false dragon bloodline, and can still burst out with such a terrifying dragon might, someone sighed. Someone sighed. The scene of Xiaochun sending Jiang Cheng flying with one kick at the end was still fresh in everyone's memory. Although junior brother Zhang's realm wasn't high, his future was limitless. He was known as the strongest peak major primal core expert. Within the same cultivation, no one could defeat him when he broke through to Star Venerate. In the future, when Xiaochun broke through to Star Venerate, he would definitely soar. The seniors of the race all had high hopes for him. When Xiaochun went to Ancestor Dragon City, he kept reminding Lu Ruyue to take care of him. However, Jiang Cheng suffered a huge defeat today. Furthermore, he lost in such an unsightly manner. This was simply unbelievable. Unconvinced, Jiang Cheng said, "I was just careless. If we fought again, I absolutely would not lose to him." Wu Su sighed softly and said, "Not everyone in the false dragon bloodline is mediocre. Since ancient times, there has been no lack of false dragons turning things around and becoming heavenly dragons in the dragon race's history. First senior sister often taught us that we cannot judge a person's status based on the quality of their bloodline. They are all comrades of our dragon race." Jiang Cheng showed a sullen expression, still unconvinced. However, Wu Su used Lu Riyue's words to lecture him. Jiang Cheng could not rebut anything, only sulking in his heart. However, in reality, Jiang Cheng was just overthinking. Wu Su did not have any intention of lecturing Jiang Cheng. He only wanted to use first senior sister's words to enlighten him. This way, Jiang Cheng would not have a knot in his heart that he could not resolve, turning him into a demon. "Junior brother Jiang, are your injuries all right? Let me check them out for you." Wu Su asked worriedly when he saw that Jiang Cheng's expression still did not look right. "There is no need for you to care about this hypocrisy." Jiang Cheng had not completed his mission and lost to Xiaochun. He roared in his heart as he walked over alone with a stern expression. "Senior brother, we did not complete the mission this time. What did first senior sister say?" The people at the side asked worriedly. First senior sister had always been strict, making clear rewards and punishments. After messing up this time, it was hard to avoid punishment. Wu Su sighed silently to himself. In the end, Jiang Cheng was too young, and the elders of the clan spoiled him too much. Although Jiang Cheng was very talented, with such a character, it would be hard for him to accomplish great things. Wu Su smiled warmly at the people at the side. "It's fine. I will explain to first senior sister. This time, I did not think things through. I did not investigate his relationship with the Cluster Lord first. It was not right. Let's go." The group returned on their way back, slowly disappearing at the end of the road. In the end, the Smiling Daughter Pavilion did not collapse. This allowed the person in charge to release his bated breath. Earlier, sweat had poured down his forehead continuously. The Smiling Daughter Pavilion had been unlucky recently. They lost the fairy basket and the dragon race experts came to fight. If the pavilion had really collapsed, then the Smiling Daughter Pavilion would not be able to continue operating. Back in the private room, Xiaochun and Lan Luo sat at the same table once more. After the earlier storm, the knot in the two's hearts loosened a little. Lan Luo looked at Xiaochun and said, "You were too rash earlier. Given this, the conflict between you and the dragon race will be hard to resolve." Xiaochun shook his head and said, "It is not rash or not. It is just my nature. It is just like you. When you heard others call me a mixed blood dragon, you could not help getting angry. When I heard others humiliate you, I could not help it either. There are many things that I do not care about. I can accept being insulted or scolded. However, I cannot allow it to affect my friends." Lan Luo felt warmth in her heart when she heard that. Joy unconsciously crept onto her face as she revealed a gentle smile. Actually, when Xiaochun thought about it, the two were indeed very similar. They both had strong characters, not easily submitting to others. However, when their friends were insulted, they could not help getting angry, regardless of the consequences. Thinking of this, Lan Luo suddenly figured out many things. She smiled and said, "Do you need me to send you off? They might ambush you outside the city." Xiaochun rejected, "There's no need. I have already troubled you enough. I will leave after drinking this cup of wine. I do not have a dragon race totem on me. As long as I go far away, they will not make a big move." After the two drank their cups, Xiaochun stood up and took his leave. "Xiaochun, no matter what trouble you encounter in the future, if you treat me as a friend, please tell me first," Lan Luo said sincerely as she looked at Xiaochun. Xiaochun was stunned for a moment when he heard that. Then he smiled happily and said, "All right, I promise you. In the future, if I find out that you are in trouble, no matter where I go, I will rush over and do what I can to help." In Xiaochun's heart, he formally accepted Lan Luo as a friend. In the past, Lan Luo had only been a benefactor that he had felt helpless about. The two exchanged glances, both feeling much better. The knot that could not be untied earlier completely vanished in this cup of wine. Sometimes the matters of life were really strange. No matter how one tried to explain, it would be useless. Instead, it would only worsen the conflict. If they could see eye to eye, they would be able to understand each other with just one glance. With a cup of wine, they could put aside their past grudges. As Lan Luo watched Xiaochun leave, her lips curled up in a charming yet melancholic smile. In the past, Lan Luo always wondered why this person never gave her any face. Yet he could not forget her, finding it hard to part with her. Now Lan Luo finally figured it out. Actually, the reason was very simple: to be himself. Xiaochun was just being himself. In this turbid and filthy world, how many people in this world could do what seemed like 3 simple words? However, Xiaochun did it. Xiaochun walked in this world, neither servile nor overbearing. In his eyes, he would not look up to you just because you were a cluster lord. He would not look down on you because of your lowly status. Xiaochun had his own principles and reason in his heart. His actions might seem unrestrained, willful and wild. In fact, it was very simple. He was just being himself. No matter how black and white were flipped in this world, no matter how powerful the nobles were, no matter how many restrictions there were, he would only be himself. Chapter 1759. After Xiaochun left, Lan Luo said, "Someone come and report the news of the dragon race's arrival to me in 15 minutes." Naturally, many people coveted the ancient dragon race totem. However, most factions would not rashly come to her soaring dragon great realm on account of the soaring dragon marquis. The dragon race was different. Anything that involved the dragon race was their internal matter. It was reasonable for them to send someone to investigate. However, this person did not even say a word and came stealthily, wanting to take Xiaochun away from under her nose. This person was simply looking down on her, a cluster lord. After about 7 minutes, A stack of letters appeared in Lan Luo's hands. When Lan Luo finished reading, she put down the letters, and her expression changed slightly. The White Dragon Holy Daughter, Lu Ruyue. Lan Luo had heard of this girl long ago. She was a genius of the White Dragon race that appeared once in 1,000 years. Lu Ruyue's origins were mysterious. Before the age of 30, the various factions, including the dragon race, did not have any news of this girl. 30 years later, Lu Ruyue suddenly appeared. She was very beautiful and talented. She was even praised as the top beauty of the dragon race. Every frown and smile of hers could topple nations. She was so beautiful that even the dragon god crown prince fell in love with her. Lan Luo simply did not expect such a famous girl to personally ask about this matter. It looked like the dragon race paid a lot of attention to this ancient dragon race totem. However, since Xiaoqun did not have a dragon race totem, it did not matter. Lan Luo could help him deal with it with her own strength. Xiaoqun was not in a rush to leave Soaring Dragon City. He was not too worried about the dragon race's matter. After all, he did not have a dragon race totem. If the other party really went to Dragon Flame City, they would definitely investigate and not chase after him. Actually, Xiaoqun also wanted to meet that so-called holy daughter. Could it be Lu Ruyue? However, after thinking about it, if it was really Lu Ruyue, she must have heard of his name in Dragon Flame City. Then, she would find someone to draw his portrait. She would definitely be able to guess his identity and personally head to Soaring Dragon City. She would not send someone over. Given this, the holy daughter had to be someone else. Furthermore, he had injured that Jiangcheng. It was best not to meet her. After remaining in the city for 3 days and exchanging the treasures in his hands for spirit jades, Xiaoqun formally left. Then they left the city and headed for the Purple Flame sect in the Grave Sea. In Dragon Flame City, after Lu Ruyue heard Wuxu's report, her phoenix-like eyes immediately fell on Jiangcheng. His face turned red and he felt extremely awkward, not daring to speak at all. I did something wrong, please punish me, eldest senior sister. Jiangcheng knelt on one knee and said with his head lowered. Lu Ruyue said sullenly, "Raise your head." Jiangcheng cautiously raised his head. He was nervous. He had made a huge mistake, causing the mission to fail. He felt guilty and did not dare to face Lu Ruyue. Boom. Just as Jiangcheng raised his head, he saw Lu Ruyue send out a palm strike from nowhere. Jiangcheng flew back and vomited a mouthful of blood. The blood was filled with an inextinguishable sharp saber intent. As the saber intent whistled out, the blood turned into countless strands of energy and shot out in all directions. This caused the others to be taken aback. Jiangcheng immediately felt very comfortable. The saber intent that he could not get rid of for the past 3 days was completely resolved by Lu Ruyue's palm strike. Many thanks, senior sister. Lu Ruyue looked at Jiangcheng and said, "Go back and reflect on yourself. I don't want to see you now." Yes. Jiangcheng did not dare to be impudent. He turned around and left, feeling relieved. You all can leave as well. Junior brother Wu stay behind. Lu Ruyue dismissed the others, leaving only the experienced and prudent Wuxia behind. Wuxia asked, "Senior sister, did you gain anything in the underground dragon city?" Lu Ruyue shook her head and replied, "I did not gain anything. It was already in ruins. However, I could feel that the totem was still there and was not taken away." Wuxia's expression changed. "In that case, it looks like Xiaoqun did not lie," Lu Ruyue said softly. "However, I could not find the totem or see the faux god flame. I still have to meet this person and understand what happened that day. However, that cluster lord has an extraordinary relationship with Xiaoqun. Junior brother Jiang offended the other party like that. It will be very troublesome to have a proper talk with the cluster lord." Wuxia spoke the truth, sounding somewhat worried. When Lu Ruyue heard that the cluster lord had an extraordinary relationship with Xiaoqun, she felt uncomfortable for some reason. She didn't know what was going on with this kind of unreasonable annoyance. Lu Ruyue snorted coldly and said, "Even if the Soaring Dragon Marquis came personally, I would not fear him. Furthermore, she is just a cluster lord. Come, I'll go and meet her." There was no time to lose. Lu Ruyue was decisive. Right now, she wanted to meet this white-robed Xiaoqun. As for the mission, They had already more or less completed it. They could return at any time. After the dragon race's group gathered, they boarded a divine dragon war chariot and headed quickly on the road. When Xiaochen was halfway there, a black war chariot pulled by 2 black dragon horses arrived in the opposite direction. This was Xiaochen's cycle war chariot. As he left the city, he happened to run into Lu Ruyue's divine dragon war chariot. Lu Ruyue felt a strange yet familiar aura. Her heart thumped heavily as she could not help asking, "Who is passing by outside?" "First senior sister, there is no one outside. There is just a black war chariot heading in our direction." A black war chariot? In Lu Ruyue's memory, there did not seem to be anyone familiar with riding a black war chariot. The 2 war chariots moved extremely fast, even faster than several star venerates on the road. The cycle war chariot and the divine dragon war chariot approached each other quickly. Not long after, they lined up side by side on the same path. Lu Ruyue and Xiaochen sensed it at the same time and opened the curtains. However, when the 2 of them opened the windows of the 2 carriages that were moving at high speed, they could only see the billowing dust rising like smoke. Xiaochen looked back and could only see the rear of the divine dragon war chariot slowly disappearing into the dust. They brushed past each other. Just like that, the 2 of them brushed past each other. Amidst the billowing dust, they watched each other leave, gradually going further and further away. Are they from the dragon clan? Xiaochen let go of the curtain, his heart unable to calm down. Just now, when the 2 war chariots approached each other, his heart inexplicably paused. That feeling was incomparably mysterious. There were no words in the world that could describe it. Xiaochen's intuition, a very strong intuition, told him that he would not be able to escape. A very important person must have passed by him just now. Who was it? In the dragon race, the only person that Xiaochen could place his trust in was Lu Ruyue. Could it be that the person who passed by was Lu Ruyue? That should not be the case. If Lu Ruyue had heard Xiaochen's name, she would have put down everything and rushed to Soaring Dragon City. She should not have come at this time. Could it be that she has already forgotten about me, Xiaochen? Forgotten about everything that happened in Qingyan Peak. Forgotten about the various oaths she swore back then. Forgotten about her deep love from back then. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe it. I have to figure this out. Xiaochen had never felt as anxious as he did now. The speeding cycle war chariot suddenly stopped. The cycle war chariot turned around and quickly chased after the divine dragon war chariot. However, the divine dragon war chariot was Lu Ruyue's war chariot after all. It was of a much higher grade than his cycle war chariot. After Xiaochen missed her, it would be easier said than done to catch up. He could only watch as the divine dragon war chariot slowly distanced itself amid the billowing dust, slowly vanishing from his sight. Could my intuition be wrong? At this moment, Xiaochen lost his usual calm and became restless. Perhaps his intuition was wrong. It was just the aura of the dragon race that made him feel familiar. As Xiaochen gave chase, the sky turned dark and he rushed through the night before returning to the city gates. When the morning sun rose, Xiaochen welcomed the first beam of light and arrived at the city gates with some anticipation. Did you hear? There was a huge battle in the Cluster Lord's residence last night. What's going on? I only heard some sounds and am not clear about the specifics. Rumor has it that the dragon race's holy daughter and Cluster Lord Goyu did not get along. They fought in the Cluster Lord's residence. Even the holy venerate in charge of the Cluster Lord's residence appeared. This is really big news. This dragon race's holy daughter is really incredible. Unexpectedly, she even startled a holy venerate. The key is that even a holy venerate could not shock her completely. He could only watch as she left in a fit of pique. The guards at the city gates discussed last night's commotion. However, the smile on Xiaochen's face froze. She left. Chapter 1760. It was just a momentary miss, but after a night of chasing, the result was completely different. Standing on the city wall, Xiaochen could not help but feel a little disappointed. However, aside from disappointment, there was also a trace of joy. Xiao Qin's emotions were complicated. Whether that person was Lu Ruyue or not, it was a good thing for Xiao Qin. Before Xiao Qin came to Soaring Dragon City, he did not know any news about Lu Ruyue. After coming here, he knew that she was doing very well. She was now one of the strongest geniuses of the dragon race. It was far easier than him, who had stumbled along the way. This was already very good. More importantly, he knew that Xiao Qin's heart had never changed. She did not even respond to the Dragon God Crown Prince's pursuit. He was not strong enough. Sooner or later, he would personally step into the dragon race's land and meet Lu Ruyue in his strongest state. The temporary disappointment did not give Xiao Qin too much of a blow. 3 days later, Xiao Qin boarded the giant starship that was on its way back. After flying for 1 month, they successfully returned to the Grave Sea's Purple Flame sect. There were still many things that he had not dealt with in the Grave Sea. He still had to formally greet the Purple Flame sect before leaving. He still had to meet his martial nephew, Ling Yu, and find his pirate ship. He wanted to see if there were any clues to the treasures that the Scarlet Blood Pirate King left behind. That was one of the things he relied on for his rise, but he never forgot that if he could get the treasure of the legendary Pirate King, this would be a great opportunity, far greater than any of his previous encounters. At the foot of the Purple Ember Sect's mountain, Xiao Qin handed over his token. The disciple guarding the mountain took a look and immediately revealed an excited expression. Senior brother Xiao Qin, you're finally back. 1 year ago, Xiao Qin fought everywhere in the Fiendish Demon battlefield. While leading the Purple Flame sect disciples in the Fiendish Demon battlefield, they gained a great harvest, far surpassing that of the other rank 4 sections. Most importantly, they had to ruthlessly suppress the Divine Firmament sect, which was at odds with the Purple Flame sect. After defeating the unfathomable Shangguan Lei, the prestige of the entire Divine Firmament sect plummeted. Even now, the Divine Firmament sect still could not raise its head. Although his stay was short, Xiao Qin had already become a legend in the Purple Ember sect. Impressive and unforgettable. After verifying Zhang Xian's identity, many people immediately rushed over upon hearing the news. They greeted him one after another. There were even many deacons, protectors, and elders who appeared in person. When they sensed Xiao Qin's aura, they all felt incredulous. In a mere year or so, Xiao Qin's cultivation actually reached peak major primal core. More importantly, the feeling that Xiao Qin gave them was like a quiet volcano. Beneath his calm exterior was an even more terrifying power. Once it erupted, it would be an incomparable expert. This was the intuition of an expert. Xiao Qin smiled and responded to them one by one. He didn't put on any airs and returned to the courtyard. After a long time, Xiao Qin returned to his courtyard. Ling Yu is not around? Xiao Qin was slightly surprised. It would be a pity if he wasn't here. A large part of the reason why Xiao Qin came to the Purple Flame sect to bid farewell was to see his martial nephew, Ling Yu. The next time he left the Purple Ember sect, he would not return for a very long time. Junior brother Xiao. Just at this moment, Xiao Qin heard a familiar voice. He turned his head and saw that it was the top true inheritor of the Purple Flame sect, Hua Yunfeng. Senior brother Hua, it has been a long time. Congratulations. After not seeing Xiao Qin for more than a year, Hua Yunfeng successfully broke through his bottleneck and advanced to Star Venerate. This was not too strange. When Xiao Qin first arrived at the Purple Flame sect, the other party had already been in the major primal core realm for a long time. Furthermore, Hua Yunfeng was actually several years older than Xiao Qin. Hua Yunfeng said humbly, "Many thanks. I was discussing something with the sect master. When I heard that you returned, I immediately rushed over." "What is it?" Xiao Qin asked casually. Hua Yunfeng revealed a melancholic expression. After a pause he said, "I want to leave the Purple Flame sect and go to the Central Great Realm. I feel that I still have a chance." Xiao Qin expressed his understanding. "What does the sect master think?" Hua Yunfeng sighed softly. "The sect master thinks very highly of me and hopes that I will not leave. Within 100 years, he will definitely pass the position of sect master to me." Xiao Qin nodded and said, "The sect master has good intentions. Right now, the Purple Flame sect has just regained some of its momentum. It needs to improve steadily. You are mature and prudent, but you do not lose your sharpness. You are indeed a very good successor to the sect. Hua Yunfeng smiled bitterly. Then he looked at Xiao Chun and said, Many years ago, I never thought of going to the Central Great Realm. If I said that all this was because of you, would you believe me? Xiao Chun found this strange. He asked, Because of me? That's right. I see a kind of perseverance in you. Back then, when you first came to the Purple Flame sect, your cultivation was much lower than mine. However, I have never seen you give up on yourself. This is especially so on Thunder Controlling Peak. Your courage when facing Shangguan Lei made me feel inferior. It seemed like Hua Yunfeng had kept these words bottled up in his heart for a long time. After he said them, he heaved a long sigh. When Xiao Chun heard that, he said seriously, You are overthinking. I am not as simple as you think. I have experienced much more than you can imagine. My accomplishments today were not just a few years of hard work. You do not know about my previous accumulations. The speed at which Hua Yunfeng could rise in the Great Thousand Realms was very fast. This was inseparable from his experiences in the Abandoned Land. In the Sky Dome Realm and the Kunlun Realm, Hua Yunfeng had experienced many life and death situations. The great scenes that Hua Yunfeng had experienced were even more uncountable. He had stubbornly endured many life and death tribulations. Others only saw Hua Yunfeng's rapid rise in the Purple Flame sect and his current glory. However, no one knew what kind of tribulations Hua Yunfeng experienced in the Kunlun realm for him to have today's mental state and perseverance. Hence, Xiao Chun did not approve of Hua Yunfeng leaving the Purple Flame sect to make a living in the Central Great Realm. Xiao Chun looked at Hua Yunfeng and said, Don't change yourself because of others. Think about it carefully. You cannot be careless with this matter. Hua Yunfeng remained silent for a long time. He had not expected Xiao Chun to give him such a warning. Originally, he thought that Xiao Chun would support his decision. Thank you for your advice. I will think about it carefully. Oh, right, you are looking for Lingyu, right? He is cultivating bitterly in our sect's Purgatory Peak. After that fellow returned from Soaring Dragon City, he seems to have become a completely different person. Hua Yunfeng smiled carefreely. He was rather open-minded about this. After chatting with Xiao Chun for a while, he took his leave. Purgatory Peak? Xiao Chun recalled that it was a dangerous land that the Purple Flame sect created. Cultivating there would be several times faster than cultivating outside. However, the pain, torture, and danger one had to endure would also multiply. After Purgatory Peak was established, very few disciples chose to enter it. This was because it was simply too painful. Many of the sect's experts could not endure it for long. That kind of pain and torture was unbearable, both physically and mentally. Only those with great perseverance could endure it. An outstanding talent like Ling Yu actually did not need to enter and cultivate bitterly. His cultivation speed would not be much slower. At sunset, Xiao Chun drank tea in the courtyard. As the afterglow of the setting sun shone down, a person covered in injuries stepped in from outside the courtyard, appearing somewhat fatigued. That person's clothes were stained with blood, and there were several terrifying new wounds on his youthful face. Xiao Chun looked up and finally recognized this person after much difficulty. To think that it was Ling Yu, martial uncle. When Ling Yu saw Xiao Chun in the courtyard, he was in disbelief. After a while he rejoiced and rushed over. However, this aggravated the injuries on his body, causing him to cry out in pain. This made one unable to restrain a smile. Xiao Chun smiled bitterly and said, Why don't you recover from your injuries first before entering the house to rest? I have some medicinal pills here. Take them and use them. Ling Yu rejected. I can't. The sect's supreme elder said that if I recover from my injuries back then, my bitter cultivation will be in vain. I have to properly comprehend the pain I endured and comprehend the essence of Purgatory Peak. When Xiao Chun heard that, he felt stunned. You really chose the path of bitter cultivation? Ling Yu nodded seriously. My background is not good, and I do not have martial uncle's mental state and comprehension ability. Aside from bitter cultivation, I have no other choice. Why bother? Even if you do not choose to bitterly cultivate, you can still shake up the grave sea in the future. and become an overlord of the nearby dozens of astral clusters. Ling Yu shook his head and said, "That is not enough. Martial uncle, you do not know. Headliner Ling Long promised me 5 years. She will wait for me for 5 years. After 5 years, she wants me to go to the Yanwu dynasty's capital to look for her." As Xiaochen looked at Ling Yu's determined expression, he felt somewhat moved. He saw many of his own shadows in Ling Yu. Ling Yu was like that, but so was Xiaochen. Chapter 1761. Trapped by Love. Ling Yu resolutely embarked on the path of bitter cultivation. Since Xiaochen did so because of love, he also embarked on a similar path. As long as there was hope, he could not give up. Ling Yu looked at the somewhat melancholic Xiaochen. "Martial uncle, did something happen to you in the Soaring Dragon Great Realm? I feel that you have changed somewhat." "What changed? I can't tell what exactly has changed. However, Martial uncle has indeed changed. In the past, Martial uncle's face always remained calm. No changes in his expression could be seen. Although it is still like that now, I can tell that there is a lingering sense of loss lingering on your face. Most importantly, Martial uncle purposely left this sense of loss behind. Given Martial uncle's mental state, you should be able to cut it off at any time. However, Martial uncle did not. This means that the person related to this sense of loss is exceptionally important to Martial uncle. Even if it already affected your mental state, you are unwilling to cut it off, letting it linger in your heart, never dispersing. As the saying goes, one does not know where love comes from, but one is deeply devoted to it. Martial uncle, you should be careful." Xiaochen felt stunned when he heard that. Unexpectedly, after not seeing Ling Yu for 1 year, his observation skills had become so meticulous. Or was it as Ling Yu said? "Did I take a picture?" Xiaochen smiled faintly and did not deny Ling Yu's words. Ling Yu smiled and said, "It looks like I was right. So what if you are right and so what if you are wrong? Just worry about yourself. Although bitter cultivation can quickly raise your strength, if you overexert yourself and injure yourself, the losses outweigh the gains." Xiaochen warned. Few people chose the path of bitter cultivation. Firstly, it was too painful and unbearable. Secondly, the risk was too high, and it was easy to injure oneself. Ling Yu's stubbornness inevitably worried Xiaochen. He did not know how to face senior brother Yi in the future. Ling Yu smiled and said, "Martial uncle, don't worry about me. I won't die." "I hope so." Xiaochen sighed softly. Ling Yu had no choice but to make his own choices. After not seeing each other for more than a year, the two chatted happily. Ling Yu also told Xiaochen about some of his confusion on the martial Dao without holding back. Xiaochen patiently answered and explained. Unknowingly, the afterglow of the setting sun had completely descended. A loud shout broke this rare silence. "White-robed Xiaochen, come out. I know you're back." Ling Yu's expression changed slightly as he looked at Xiaochen. "It's Shangguan Lei." The voice came from the Greeting of Swords Edges. The Greeting of Swords Edges was where the face of the sect was. Xiaochen had been there once, so he knew what kind of place it was. There were all kinds of sects there. Ever since Xiaochen defeated Shangguan Lei in the fiendish demon battlefield, very few people in the Divine Firmament sect dared to appear at the Purple Flame sect's Greeting of Swords Edges. This time, after Shangguan Lei found out that Xiaochen had returned, he came to take revenge. After some thought, Xiaochen understood the reason behind it. "Martial uncle, I heard that this Shangguan Lei put in a lot of effort to obtain a Dao tool to defeat you. He has been cultivating like a madman, and has been waiting for you to come back. He came prepared." Ling Yu said cautiously. After all, Xiaochen had not broken through to Star Venerate yet. Ling Yu did not know Xiaochen's true strength, so he could not help worrying. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as the two decided to go out and take a look, Shangguan Lei's figure suddenly appeared on the courtyard wall. "Shangguan Lei, all the grudges between the sect disciples have to be resolved at the Greeting of Swords Edges. Are you trying to start a war between the Divine Firmament sect and the Purple Flame sect?" Below, Hua Yunfeng and the other true inheritors quickly followed, showing some rage on their faces. Several elders also appeared in the dark, locking their auras on Shangguan Lei. forcibly barging in like Shangguan Lei had already broken the rules of the sect. If not for Xiao Chen's status and strength, someone would have taken him down long ago. Shangguan Lei said seriously, Hua Yunfeng, don't be wishy-washy like a woman. As long as Xiao Chen is willing to fight with me, I will personally apologize. After this, I will personally apologize. Can't you tell if I want to start a war between the sects or not? Indeed, everyone could tell that Shangguan Lei was here purely for Xiao Chen. If not for this reason, the sect elders would have worked together to chase him out long ago. Xiao Chen, if you are not willing to fight with him, we can chase him away now. The voice projections of the sect elders appeared in Xiao Chen's mind. Clearly, these sect elders were very respectful to Xiao Chen, speaking very politely to him. There's no need to chase him away, Xiao Chen replied. Then he indicated to Shangguan Lei. Think carefully before you make your move. You only have one chance. When Shangguan Lei heard that, he could not help laughing loudly. How arrogant! 1 year ago, if you held a Dao tool, how could you defeat me? 1 year later, I advanced to Star Venerate and grasped the Dao tool. Even if I gave you 3 moves, you would not be able to defeat me. Xiao Chen said slowly. Many things can change in 1 year. Cut the crap. Stop putting on an act. This old man will defeat you with 1 saber strike. Right after Shangguan Lei said those words, he roared and attacked in a fit of rage. When Shangguan Lei's saber landed, 9 thunderous explosions rang out. The Dao tool in his hand trembled 9 times in the air at a speed that was hard to detect with the naked eye. With each tremble, the thunder might from the previous tremble would layer on top of each other. Shangguan Lei's aura was already terrifyingly strong. Dark clouds covered the sky, and lightning flashed, encasing the area for 5 kilometers around. When Shangguan Lei leaped down, he looked like a raging heavenly lord of thunder. A terrifying figure appeared behind him. The saber light in Shangguan Lei's hand was 300 meters long. When the saber light landed, an overwhelming shock wave swept out in all directions. Caught off guard, this shock wave immediately knocked many Purple Flame sect disciples into the air. The divine firmament 9 changes layered 9 times. He really succeeded. I recall that many elders in the divine firmament sect can only layer 8 times. To think that he actually managed to layer 9 times. The moment Shangguan Lei executed this move, countless elders exclaimed in regret. It would have been better if they had gotten Xiao Chen to come out and receive this move, forcing Shangguan Lei to leave as soon as possible. If Xiao Chen lost, the prestige that he had accumulated for the Purple Flame sect would vanish like smoke. If that happened, the prestige that Shangguan Lei had accumulated for the Purple Flame sect would vanish like smoke, vanishing completely. Instead, it would allow Shangguan Lei to rise to a higher level. Even the Divine Firmament sect's prestige would suppress the Purple Flame sect. However, just as everyone worried for Xiao Chen, the space in the courtyard suddenly froze. Even the dust stopped moving. Xiao Chen stretched out 2 fingers and caught Shangguan Lei's saber in the time it took for a spark to fly. Just like that, Xiao Chen caught the saber with 2 simple fingers. How can this be? Many exclamations rang out at the same time. Their eyes filled with incredulity. Hua Yunfeng was somewhat flabbergasted, gaping. He was not that worried about Xiao Chen. He believed that Xiao Chen definitely had a fortuitous encounter, and absolutely would not lose to Shangguan Lei. However, Hua Yunfeng did not expect that Xiao Chen would use 2 fingers to catch Shangguan Lei's saber, preventing him from moving or retreating. Shangguan Lei was utterly stunned. He brought out his full power, but could not advance by even an inch, much less draw his saber. Dang! Xiao Chen waved his 2 fingers, and the saber in Shangguan Lei's hand trembled. A strong force rebounded. The saber immediately twisted like a water snake. The force traveled to Shangguan Lei's arm, breaking every bone in his body. The force spread to half his body before Shangguan Lei managed to block it. However, Shangguan Lei was already sent flying, crashing into the courtyard wall and vomiting a large mouthful of blood. Even standing up was somewhat difficult for Shangguan Lei. Shangguan Lei pointed at Xiao Chen. However, he could not say anything, feeling pent up in his chest. Shangguan Lei was startled and flustered. All sorts of emotions welled up in his mind. He felt stifled in his chest, unable to go up or down. His qi and blood surged, and his eyes widened. His face turned even redder, looking like an inflated ball that would explode at any moment. Xiaochen entered deep thought. Then he flicked his finger, and a strand of saber qi struck an acupoint on Shangguan Lei's chest. Pussy. Shangguan Lei vomited another mouthful of blood, and the surging qi and blood on his face quickly receded. Xiaochen could already tell that something had gone wrong with Shangguan Lei's cultivation. Shangguan Lei only pursued strength and tyranny. This resulted in many hidden dangers in his body. If there were any setbacks, he would enter berserking qi deviation and self-destruct. This was the principle of being too firm and easy to break. Back then, Yi Zifeng had said that the master and disciple had comprehended the wrong state of the tyrannical Tao. The divine firmament sect's Shangguan Lei is not skilled enough. Men, send off the guest. An elder of the Purple Flame sect stepped forward expressionlessly, not showing any pity for Shangguan Lei. The words "not skilled enough" were rather mocking. Chapter 1762. Shangguan Lei was carried away in a sorry state. This farce ended here. The Purple Flame sect elders hiding in the dark all revealed themselves, revealing smiles as they arrived before Xiaochen. This time, Shangguan Lei lost. Xiaochen used 2 fingers to catch the Divine Firmament sect's consummate technique, the Divine Firmament 9 changes. The sharpness of the Purple Flame sect was completely suppressed. Most importantly, the elders could tell that Shangguan Lei's foundation was unstable. From today onward, the Purple Flame sect no longer had to worry about a strong opponent like Shangguan Lei. Furthermore, all this was due to Xiaochen's efforts first and second. Naturally, these sect elders were grateful to Xiaochen for helping out, promising him all sorts of benefits on the spot. Some were even more direct, asking Xiaochen if he wanted to stay in the sect and hold a post. Xiaochen responded calmly, politely rejecting all sorts of benefits. Martial Uncle Xiao, won't you reconsider? You can even be a guest official. I believe the sect master will agree. The few old men took the sect rules very seriously, addressing Xiaochen as Martial Uncle Xiao. They did not dare to mess up seniority. Many thanks. I will be leaving in another month. I still have important matters to attend to. That is a pity. Seeing Xiaochen like this, the elders did not press the issue. They performed cup-fist salutes and took their leave. After the crowd left, Ling Yu exclaimed excitedly, "Martial Uncle, how did you do it? You caught Shangguan Lei's saber with 2 fingers." The scene just now had caused a great shock and impact to many people. However, only Ling Yu dared to put down his pride and ask without any fear. Divine Firmament 9 changes, a Tao tool, and a berserk Shangguan Lei. Yet, Xiaochen caught such a ferocious and tyrannical saber strike with only 2 fingers. This was simply unrealistic, like a dream. Do you want to learn? Xiaochen asked with a smile. What? This startled Ling Yu. Then he exclaimed in pleasant surprise, "Yes, naturally. Martial Uncle is willing to teach me?" Xiaochen smiled faintly and said, "I am your martial uncle in name after all. Teaching you some secret techniques is nothing." "Thank you, martial uncle." Ling Yu expressed his gratitude solemnly, nearly kneeling to Xiaochen with a respectful expression. Xiaochen waved his hand, indicating that he didn't have to be so courteous and care about etiquette. This secret skill is called the telepathic finger. You definitely won't be able to learn it in a short time. I will first teach you the initial version of the telepathic finger. After that, I will tell you the subsequent variations. There were 2 versions of the telepathic finger, and it had gone through many changes to achieve its current effect. Xiaochen definitely could not succeed in one go. First, he told Ling Yu about the cultivation method that the Flame Rock Sovereign once told him, letting Ling Yu comprehend it on his own. A few days later, when Ling Yu more or less understood the profoundness, Xiaochen taught Ling Yu the secrets and profoundness of using one's body as a cauldron. Later on, whether or not Ling Yu could gain a comprehensive understanding and comprehend it thoroughly would depend on his own luck. Given Ling Yu's talent, Xiaochen felt that it should not be a problem. As for Xiaochen, he did not fall behind in his cultivation either. Right now, he had 2 cultivation techniques that he needed to cultivate. the Ice Feather Divine Incantation, and the Divine Dragon Body Tempering Art. Back in Dragon Flame City, Xiaochen had already cultivated the Ice Feather Divine Incantation to the peak of the 3rd layer. Inside the cultivation room, Xiaochen inserted medial grade spirit jades into the spirit gathering formation. Then he started cultivating the Ice Feather Divine Incantation. The cold chi in the room condensed into thin ice that looked like feathers dancing around, looking very pretty. After circulating a great cycle, snow-like spiritual energy continuously poured into the white chi whirlpool in Xiaochen's dantian. After that, the chi whirlpool turned it into veritable essence energy and infused it into the 9-star primal core. Xiaochen opened his eyes and entered deep thought. The Ice Feather Divine Incantation had reached a bottleneck. The white chi whirlpool had not grown for a long time already. Xiaochen had to break through to the 4th layer. However, this Ice Feather Divine Incantation had a total of 6 layers. The later 3 layers were more important and harder to cultivate. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen decided to break through to the Ice Feather Divine Incantation's 4th layer after he broke through to the Cloud Sea realm. That would be safer. During this period, he would focus on the Divine Dragon Body Tempering Art. Xiaochen opened his palm and looked at the jade bottle in his palm. Dragon Blood Pill. This was one of the treasures of the dragon race that Xiaochen obtained in the underground dragon city. It was refined from genuine ancient dragon blood. Every time he used one, there would be one less. Pure dragon blood was simply too difficult to obtain. According to rumor, the current dragon blood pills were refined from the true blood of the dragon race's upper echelon. Compared to true pure dragon blood pills, the effects would be slightly weaker. Opening the bottle cap, Xiaochen consumed a dragon blood pill. Then he sat down cross-legged and started cultivating the Divine Dragon Body Tempering Art. He had already completed the 1st layer, tempering his muscles, and the 2nd layer, tempering his bones. Now he needed to cultivate the 3rd layer, tempering his blood. Vital chi came from the blood. This 3rd layer was also the start of the Divine Dragon Body Tempering Art's main event. Soon dragon roars came from Xiaochen's body. 18 ancient blue dragon images appeared. They coiled around Xiaochen, surrounding him. An ancient and savage aura spread throughout the cultivation room. It was like he had returned to the great desolate Aeon, when the 10,000 races fought. Xiaochen felt his chi and blood surge. It was like the floodgates opened, and boundless essence energy poured out. At this moment, not only did his vital chi soar, but Xiaochen also felt his ice and lightning veritable essence energy being refined by the ancient energy surging out of his blood. The ancient energy surging out from his blood continuously refined it. The ancient dragon might was carved into the depths of his quintessence, as if it was inseparable from his flesh and blood. From today onward, Xiaochen would not need to deliberately bring out dragon might. His veritable essence energy would give off boundless dragon might, deeply imprinted in his bones and soul. Dang, dang, dang. The most important change came from his vital chi. Many ancient dragon pattern cauldrons appeared above his head. As his vital chi soared, there were now 15 dragon cauldrons. This dragon blood pill allowed Xiaochen's vital chi to soar by 5 cauldron force, reaching an unprecedented 15 cauldron force. Every dragon cauldron was different from the ones before. They were exquisitely carved and glowed faintly. The carved dragon patterns looked like they were coming to life, looking very realistic. Xiaochen, who was immersed in the increase in his strength, felt somewhat surprised. He had not expected this dragon blood pill to be so effective. This was something he had not experienced in the underground dragon city back then. More importantly, the ancient energy from his bloodline reshaped Xiaochen's veritable essence energy and vital chi. This was the greatest benefit. It was much better than directly increasing one's vital chi and cultivation. After more than half a month, Xiaochen completely digested and absorbed the energy of this dragon blood pill. Crack, crack. The vital chi in Xiaochen's body surged in his dragon veins. His blood surged, and his dragon bones crackled. His dragon might spread out uncontrollably. Many dragon images lingered in the surroundings, looking like they were sighing with their eyes closed and roaring softly at the same time. When Xiaochen opened his eyes, they flickered with a golden light. His great desolate divine eyes had improved further. At this moment, The dragon images lingering in the surroundings also opened their eyes at the same time. Boom! The entire cultivation room could not endure this dragon might. The formation shattered, and the room crumbled. When the dust settled, Xiaoqin's true body was revealed. "Martial uncle, this is a little too grand," Ling Yu exclaimed in shock as he walked out of the room. This made Xiaoqin feel somewhat embarrassed. The effects of the dragon blood pill had somewhat surpassed his expectations. After stepping out of the rubble, Xiaoqin looked at Ling Yu and said, "Come, let me see how your cultivation of the sharp spirit finger is going." 1 hour later, Xiaoqin revealed a gratified smile. Not bad. The effects of the dragon blood pill surpassed his expectations. After 1 hour, Xiaoqin revealed a gratified smile. Not bad. You improved so much in half a month. You surprised me as well. Ling Yu felt excited in his heart. However, after a while he asked somewhat disappointedly, "Martial uncle, are we really leaving?" Xiaoqin nodded and said, "All good things must come to an end. We are fated. I believe that we will definitely meet again in the future." "Martial uncle, take care." Ling Yu could not bear to part with Xiaoqin, but he also knew that Xiaoqin had to leave. Just like him, he had his own pursuits in his heart. Based on his martial uncle's judgment, with Xiaoqin's insight, Xiaoqin's pursuit was probably even more difficult than Ling Yu's. Xiaoqin nodded slightly. Then he took out a dragon blood pill and handed it to Ling Yu. "Take care." Xiaoqin did not expect the dragon blood pill to bring Ling Yu the same changes he did. However, it would definitely be of help. The main reason why Xiaoqin could benefit so much from the dragon blood pill was because of his ancient and noble bloodline. The dragon blood pill only stimulated his bloodline and unearthed the vast treasure trove of bloodline power. Even if another dragon race disciple consumed the dragon blood pill, the effects might not be as strong. After leaving the Purple Flame sect, Xiaoqin did not immediately go to the Black Cutlass. Instead, he headed for the blessed land of the Patala Mountain. He needed to tell the Venerable Xianbei about Jin Yuan. No matter what, the Venerable Xianbei had saved Xiaoqin's life before. Among the Buddhist sect monks that Xiaoqin interacted with, the Venerable Xianbei was rather trustworthy. Chapter 1763. Xiaoqin's heart skipped a beat. He felt that something was wrong. Although that lightning palace cracked, it showed no signs of crumbling. Every pillar of water looked like a huge dragon coming out of the sea. In that instant, they blocked the tyrannical aura of the lightning palace that suppressed everything. No wonder the Divine Firmament sect felt that they could kill me by sending just one person. Xiaoqin closed his eyes as he stood on the surface of the sea, the waves bouncing up and down. Xiaoqin turned his head back and saw that person behind him bathed in electric light. So, this was how the will of soul could be used. This was truly an eye-opener. Clearly, this person had come prepared and prepared many spirit pills, not being stingy when consuming them. From the outside, this black cave mountain looked like it was shrouded in boundless fog above the vast sea. Xiaoqin did not want to fight a pointless battle. He silently executed his movement technique, and a faint purple flame burned on his body. Then he quickly flew over the sea like a ghost. Die. Above the waves, the two gave off terrifying auras. Xiaoqin stretched out his hand and he drew the tyrant's saber. A swastika appeared on his forehead. A Buddhist light spread out from Xiaoqin's body. He instantly executed, resolving the mundane. Then, an eternal and inextinguishable saber light appeared. How strong! Someone is following me? The moment Xiaoqin left the Black Cave Mountain, he sensed something strange. There was an indistinct, hidden killing chi that was extremely hard to detect. The only thing he lacked was the use of the will of soul. However, Xiaoqin had been at this cultivation realm for at least 100 years. Furthermore, he was a rank 4 sect elder with deep accumulations. The 3 blessed lands of the Grave Sea, the Heavenly Shaking Mountain, the Black Cave Mountain, and the Patala Mountain, were not too far from each other. Explosions and the sound of his surging bloodline merged together, instantly pushing Xiaoqin's aura to its peak. Boundless thunderclouds quickly spread in the sky above, pressing toward Xiaoqin. However, they had lost to Xiaoqin twice, each time more embarrassing than the last. To a rank 4 sect, Such a humiliating result was simply unacceptable. The old man was dressed in the Divine Firmament chapter elder attire. His expression was cold, and the domineering lightning might in his eyes seemed corporeal as he looked at Xiao Chun and shouted coldly. Seeing that Xiao Chun had increased his speed, the person who had been hiding revealed himself and quickly chased after him. Hence, the three blessed lands wore a thin veil in the grave sea, appearing very mysterious. It was indeed someone from the Divine Firmament chapter. The old man said coldly. With a wave of his hand, countless bolts of lightning gathered. Thunderclouds churned in the sky, and all sorts of mysterious phenomena were hidden within. Xiao Chun was secretly accumulating power, quietly waiting for the enemy to come. The rumbling continued as towering waves rose on the surface of the sea. Those who had experienced it would naturally not have such a feeling. The Thunder Palace pressed down once more, and Xiao Chun felt an immense pressure once more. This was a huge blow to the Divine Firmament chapter. Not only did Xiao Chun cause the Divine Firmament sect's many resources to go to waste, but he also ruthlessly slapped the Divine Firmament sect in the face. Xiao Chun did not open his eyes. His expression was calm, without any ripples. Saber. However, if a cultivator did not ride a special Dao tool, an oceanic spirit beast, or a transportation formation, relying on their own speed, the Thunder Palace would not have shattered completely. That's not right. It is not completely shattered yet. Xiao Chun's heart sank. The person who came was a horrifying late-stage star venerate at the very least. Who exactly was it? No wonder. So that is the case. It is extraordinary. However, just as Xiao Chun was about to make another move, a saber light suddenly descended from the sky. That palace was made of pure lightning attributed veritable essence energy. It contained the will of soul, and the thunder domain of the old man. After thinking about it, Xiao Chun concluded that it could only be the Divine Firmament sect. Xiao Chun had defeated Shangguan Lei's arrogance several times. The Divine Firmament sect had spent a lot of resources on Shangguan Lei, and even secretly promoted him, turning him into the spiritual symbol of the Divine Firmament sect's younger generation. Xiao Chun thought to himself, oh no. The Divine Firmament sect's movement technique was famous for its explosive power. However, the old man was greatly startled. He simply had not expected Xiao Chun's veritable essence energy and will of soul to be so strong. That saber light appeared without any warning, instantly chopping the old man in half. He could not resist at all. The old man revealed a surprised expression. After being stunned for a while, he said, "Your strength is really startling. However, you are not a star venerate in the end. Even if you have the will of soul, you cannot use it like I do." Every sound kicked up a huge wave. Thousands of pillars of water shot up on the surface of the sea at the same time. After chopping the descending palace in half, the electric light scattered, leaving behind a flickering mark. Only the silhouette of a mountain range could be seen. For example, before Xiao Chun entered, he had been filled with curiosity and awe. With one saber strike, he chopped that lightning palace in half. The thunderclouds are already here. Senior's thunder domain has already caught up. There is no point in running. Even the might of resolving the mundane increased explosively. The countless churning mysterious phenomena hidden in the dense thunderclouds in the sky gathered into an ancient lightning palace, pressing down on Xiao Chun. Since the other party was prepared to make a move, he definitely had complete confidence. "You are rather sensible. I believe you know why I am here. Sometimes, when working for others, it is easy to be used. Don't blame this old man for bullying the weak. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for helping the Purple Flame sect. Brat, why are you not running anymore?" Xiao Chun was not much weaker than Xiao Chun. Whoosh. Trying to flee. How can it be that easy? Boom. If not for that dragon blood pill digging out the ancient energy in the blue dragon bloodline, Xiao Chun would have already reconstructed his veritable essence energy and vital qi. Reconstructing his veritable essence energy and vital qi. Just this move alone might take his life. Damn it. A bolt of lightning flashed, and an aura sealed off Xiao Chun's surroundings. Following that, thunder roared for 5,000 kilometers around, causing the thunderclouds to churn endlessly. Xiao Chen sighed softly and stopped running. Whoosh. Xiao Chen felt very satisfied. The reconstructed veritable essence energy was indeed extraordinary. The core of this lightning palace was the old man's will of soul, which he had tempered several times. As long as his will of soul was not destroyed, this move could not break it. Xiao Chen punched, and 15 azure glassy ancient dragon cauldrons appeared above his head. They clashed with each other, producing loud sounds. Rumble. Will of soul. Just as the ancient lightning palace was about to descend, Xiao Chen suddenly opened his eyes. The palace gave off an ancient and heavy aura. This palace must be an imitation of Xiao Chen's original body, a building from the ancient era. The old man did not underestimate Xiao Chen at all. The moment he made his move, he used his trump card. For many years, he had been trying to portray Xiao Chen as unrivaled and tyrannical among his peers. The two wills of soul clashed, erupting with a terrifying energy shock wave. Xiao Chen and that old man both got knocked back. Break. Break. Xiao Chen did not stop moving. The will of soul that belonged to him instantly shot out from his sea of consciousness. After leaving the purple flame sect, Xiao Chen left the Black Cave Mountain in only half a day. Half a day later, Xiao Chen looked at the sky above him, which was already covered in thunderclouds. Then, he looked at the blessed lands of the Grave Sea. They were only SOSO. Xiao Chen felt startled in his heart. This old man's cultivation was not very high, only about peak early stage star venerate. In Dragon Flame City, this old man had challenged many people and experienced even greater things. No matter what, this old man had not seen through Yin Hai's tranquility, so there was still a gap between them. However, the old man behind did not care about the exhaustion of veritable essence energy. Xiao Chen's speed was not slow, comparable to that of star venerates who did not cultivate special movement techniques. He needed only 4 days to enter the Patala Mountain Blessed Land. The stalker might be a star venerate with deep accumulations. Xiao Chen moved as fast as lightning, kicking up towering waves. In an instant he traveled 50 kilometers. This was because the price of failure would be extremely high. Now that Xiao Chen had entered and exited the Blessed Lands several times, no one among the youths of the 3 Blessed Lands was a match for him. With one punch, Xiao Chen detonated 15 cauldron force, causing the entire sea to sink. However, that was all there was to it. Xiao Chen's strength was not sufficient. Xiao Chen executed the fish dragon art to its limits, sticking close to the sea like a fish in water. Then he went with the surging waves, continuously pulling away. He still needed at least 7 or 8 days. Even ordinary disciples could not endure it. What more Shangguan Lei, who had spent a lot of resources on it. A brilliant light flickered in Shangguan Lei's eyes, and the 206 dragon bones on his body gave off explosive sounds. I clearly do not have enough strength anymore. Why can't I break it? Who would be willing to do so much? A horrifying saber might spread out in all directions. Xiao Chen did not say anything, continuing to rush over the sea. He gently pushed off with his feet, moving very fast. If one was not a disciple of the Black Cave Mountain, it would be very difficult for others to pass through the thick fog and enter the Blessed Land. Xiao Chen moved like lightning, flickering with electric light as if he was teleporting. This was the will of soul of the old man. This was not an existence that newly advanced star venerates or regular star venerates could deal with. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the old man threw a fist light. Cracks appeared in the palace that the old man thought he could kill and suppress Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen did not panic. His eyes lit up as he revealed an expression of understanding. This was unbearable. Chapter 1764. Is it Senior Thunder Saber Xiang Tian? Under heavy pressure, Xiao Chen shouted, "Xiao!" The boundless lightning dissipated, revealing a person floating high up in the sky. It was the Thunderblade Xiang Tian. He was the one who had attacked and killed the old man who had been chasing him. Xiao Chen was stunned. He did not expect it to be him. "You're really smart. How did you guess it was me?" In this vicinity, there is only one person who can brew the Thunder Dao's Dao might and use such exquisite saber techniques. However, I wonder if Senior is here to kill me or to save me. Xiao Chun stared at the other party. He was cautious and did not let down his guard. Naturally, I'm not here to kill you. If I wanted to kill you, I could have done it the day Yi Zifeng left. It was just that this bunch of fools from the sect seemed to think that Yi Zifeng would never return after leaving. Do you think that you can hide it from everyone by acting in such a hurry? Thunderblade Xiang Tian said in a deep voice. After I return to the sect, I will punish everyone involved. Can we put an end to today's matter and write it off? Senior, you're too polite. Xiao Chun glanced at the Thunderblade Xiang Tian and felt that this person had some spirit. He was straightforward and magnanimous. I'm not being polite. I'm just worried about Yi Zifeng. If it weren't for Yi Zifeng, the first person to kill you would have been me. Whoosh. Right after Xiao Chun spoke, the Thunder Saber Xiang Tian quickly left. The sea regained its calm as if nothing had happened. Who would have thought that the assassination would end like this? To be honest, Xiao Chun hadn't fought to his heart's content yet. It just so happened that he needed an evenly matched opponent to see where his limits were, and the old man chasing after him was obviously one of them. However, the fight just now also made Xiao Chun a little more confident. Even the Star Venerate elders of rank 4 sects with deep accumulations could not do anything to him. Even if Xiao Chun did not advance to Star Venerate, he still possessed the strength to fight a Star Venerate. Not in a hurry to leave, Xiao Chun closed his eyes and carefully experienced the killing move of the old man, Thunder Lightning Palace. This was the first time he had seen the will of the soul fused into a killer move. Was that so? Xiao Chun activated the will of soul in his soul pool and infused it into his surroundings, ready to fire. Then he slowly spread out his saber intent, merging it with the world and the will of souls. Buzz buzz buzz. Suddenly, a continuous stream of saber hums appeared out of nowhere in all directions. In the next moment, Xiao Chun opened his eyes and flicked his finger. Hua. Xiao Chun condensed the countless saber intents containing the will of souls into one, turning them into a resplendent saber chi. As the saber light flashed, the entire world instantly turned dark. The space between the heavens and earth turned black and white. Only that saber light was resplendent and dazzling, clearly visible. However, the saber chi only lasted for less than 1,000th of a second before it disappeared. Xiao Chun revealed a look of joy on his face. So that was the case. It was exactly as he had imagined. Although it didn't even last for an instant. It meant that Xiao Chun was heading in the right direction. As long as he headed in the right direction, truly merging the will of souls with the saber intent was just a matter of time. The earlier saber strike made Xiao Chun vaguely think of the Kunlun realm's Yellow Springs land. The saber light that the Qing Emperor once left behind. Could it be that the Kunlun realm's Qing Emperor already possessed the strength of a Star Venerate? This was truly inconceivable. Xiao Chun shook his head, finding this idea ridiculous. The Qing Emperor should have used some other method to achieve that effect. On the other side, the Thunder Saber Xiang Tian, who had not gone far, felt the saber light that disappeared in a flash. His expression froze for a long time before he came back to his senses. This comprehension ability is really startling. I even somewhat wavered in my earlier decision. A murderous intent flashed in Xiang Tian's eyes. After thinking about it, he concluded that such a person would not remain in the Purple Flame sect for long. He would go to the Central Great Realm sooner or later. With his strength, even if he did not cause trouble, he would run into trouble sooner or later. The Thunder Saber Xiang Tian withdrew his murderous intent. Then, he shook his head and continued flying towards the Divine Firmament sect. When Xiang Tian thought of the Divine Firmament sect's sect master, his face could not help sinking. To think that the Divine Firmament sect's sect master dared to hide such an important decision from me. He probably forgot how horrifying Yi Zifeng was in the past. At the thought of Yi Zifeng, some hidden shadows in Xiang Tian's heart could not help resurfacing. That was a truly ruthless person. My two senior brothers are indeed the same kind of people. 3 days later, Xiao Chun arrived at the Patala Mountain Blessed Land. A dense fog spread over the sea. A faint Buddhist light shone through the dense fog, illuminating the surroundings. At every moment, there would be believers rushing over from the nearby islands in the sea. These believers worshipped this miraculous scene and prayed piously. After Xiao Chun stated his identity, The expression of the person in charge of welcoming guests at the periphery of the Potala mountain changed slightly. You are benefactor Xiaochen? Yes, I am. I have heard of your reputation. However, if you want to meet the Venerable Xianbei, you still have to follow the rules and notify him. The Venerable Xianbei has already been in closed-door cultivation for a long time and is not receiving guests. That's fine. Xiaochen remained calm. He believed that Xianbei would definitely come to meet him. Sure enough, after a quarter of an hour, the monk walked in with a smile on his face. Benefactor Xiao is indeed extraordinary. I'll lead the way for you. With a faint smile, Xiaochen stood up and followed the monk into the Potala mountain. The journey was rugged and took a long time. However, Xiaochen enjoyed the scenery of the Buddhist blessed land along the way, so it was not too boring. Occasionally, Xiaochen saw some monks exchanging moves with each other. This gave him a deeper understanding of the Buddhist sect's martial techniques. We have arrived. Benefactor Xiao, please enter. The monk pushed open the door to a quiet room and gestured for Xiaochen to enter. Xiaochen walked in with large strides. A sandalwood fragrance immediately assaulted his face, clearing his mind and making him feel much more at ease. This feeling was simply too wonderful for words. The Venerable Xianbei sat cross-legged before a mahogany table. There was tea on the table, and 2 strands of smoke lingered in the air, creating a unique charm. It is rare for Benefactor Xiao to visit me before you leave. Xiaochen took a sip of the tea and said with a smile, Master, haven't you been in seclusion? He seems to know everything about me like the back of his hand. When I heard that you were coming, I asked someone to sort out your recent whereabouts. I knew that you were probably going to leave. Grandmaster Xianbei's voice was unhurried, and no one could tell if he was happy or sad. However, Xiaochen was able to detect a trace of lingering melancholy and self-blame in his expression. Master, there's something on my mind. Xianbei raised his eyebrows and looked at Xiaochen. He sighed and said, I don't need to hide it from you. I think you can guess it. Are you here to blame me for taking away your saber technique manual? Xiaochen shook his head and said, I won't. Although I am not willing to accept my saber manual, I will not accept it. Since Master gave me spirit jades and the golden book, I can understand Master's painstaking efforts. Xianbei looked at Xiaochen's expression and sighed helplessly. If Zhen Yuan had half your mental state, he would not be in his current state. However, it is also my fault. He wanted to go to the hidden spirit temple long ago, but I kept thinking that his Buddhist cultivation was not sufficient. It was not the right time yet, so I told him to wait patiently. However, he did not know that a heart demon had already been planted in him. Xiaochen put down the teacup and said, Aside from catching up, I came here this time to tell Master something else. It has to do with Zhen Yuan. You saw him. The Venerable Xianbei's tone turned heavy, and his expression changed greatly. It was clear that he cared a lot about this disciple. I did. Xiaochen nodded and honestly told the Venerable Xianbei about his encounter with Zhen Yuan in the underground dragon city. However, he hid the matter of him and the faux god flame. When the Venerable Xianbei heard that Zhen Yuan had absorbed the Black Dragon King's demonic nature, his expression changed dramatically. The Venerable Xianbei let out a long sigh, looking like he had aged by more than 10 years. Many thanks, Benefactor, for telling me all this. Seeing the Venerable Xianbei bowing to him, Xiaochen quickly stood up and returned the bow. Venerable is too serious. Venerable saved my life. That is already a great favor. This is nothing. After thinking for a long time, the Venerable Xianbei said, Benefactor Xiao, can you promise me one thing? Curious, Xiaochen asked, What is it? If you see Zhen Yuan again, if you have the ability, can you spare his life and save him from this sea of bitterness? The Venerable Xianbei looked at Xiaochen with an extremely grave expression. Chapter 1765. Should I agree or not? The Venerable Xianbei's request was extraordinarily excessive. First of all, Xiaochen's relationship with Zhen Yuan was far from good. In fact, it was more like they were rivals and had conflicts. Secondly, Zhen Yuan was not weak. After he absorbed the Black Dragon King's demonic nature, his cultivation was higher than Xiao Chen's. Zhen Yuan's comprehension ability was also not low. If Xiao Chen met such a person, how could he hold back in a fight? Holding back would be asking for his own life. However, when Xiao Chen looked into the venerable Xianbei's eyes, he could not bear to refuse. After thinking for a long time, Xiao Chen said, "I'll do my best. While ensuring my own life, I'll do my best to let him live. I'll bring him back to the profound light temple." The venerable Xianbei said, "Many thanks, benefactor Xiao. That is enough. That child Zhen Yuan does not have a bad nature. Him taking this path has something to do with me. If benefactor Xiao can free him from this sea of bitterness, you will be able to resolve the knot in this old monk's heart." Xiao Chen thought for a while before saying, "Venerable, why do you feel that I will definitely meet Zhen Yuan? The world is vast and boundless. If one is not looking for him, it will be easier said than done to meet someone. Fate. Everything is because of that Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. Since the two of you cultivate this saber technique, you will meet each other sooner or later." The venerable Xianbei showed a complicated expression. After a pause he said, "Wait for a while. Let me show you something." The venerable Xianbei turned around and entered a secret room. After a while, he came out and handed a painting to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen gave the venerable Xianbei a doubtful look. Then he unfurled the painting, and his expression changed slightly. The Mahamaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique Manual. When Blessed Curls unfurled, the style of the painting was exactly the same as the incomplete saber technique manual that Xiao Chen once possessed. However, there was only one hand gesture in the painting. It looked like a saber technique manual, but also somewhat different. The venerable Xianbei looked at it and said, "This is not a saber technique manual. This is the starting stance of the Mahamaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique. The complete saber technique was lost long ago and is scattered everywhere. Who knows how long it will take to collect it?" The saber technique originally had a total of 9 moves. Including the starting stance, there are a total of 10 moves. Xiao Chen's eyes were solemn. He felt that he had benefited greatly from this starting stance, but he still couldn't comprehend it. "Thanks a lot." After putting away the painting, Xiao Chen expressed his gratitude. This was a pleasant surprise. He did not have any special intentions in agreeing to the venerable Xianbei's request. Unexpectedly, he managed to obtain the starting stance of the Mahamaya Abstinence Violation Saber Technique. This was truly a pleasant surprise. A saber technique with a starting stance and without a starting stance were two completely different concepts. On the table are some Padala Mountain's white Xiaohua head hair, as well as some 10,000-year-old sandalwood. Consider it a farewell gift. Take it with you. Master Xianbei said in a warm voice as he pointed to the tea leaves and sandalwood on the table. The name of this tea leaf had a different kind of Zen meaning. Xiao Chen loved fine wine the most, followed by tea. With such good tea, he naturally wouldn't stand on ceremony. "Goodbye." Xiao Chen performed a cupped fist salute and left. Under the venerable Xianbei's gaze, he left the profound light temple and the Padala mountain. Half a month later, inside a pirate hall in the Grave Sea, Xiao Chen familiarly entered and arrived at the West Wind Tower. Back then, it was in this pirate hall that Xiao Chen had witnessed Ling Yu fighting another Blessed Land disciple. Now in less than 2 years he returned to this place. Everything was the same as before. However, Xiao Chen was no longer the same as before. He did not even fear a star venerate. As Xiao Chen looked at the signboard of the West Wind Tower, he stood there for a long time. Back then, he had asked this chief manager Ding of the West Wind Tower for help in entering the Black Cave Mountain, using his promise to obtain a recommendation letter. Naturally, Xiao Chen did not forget about this promise. If there was an opportunity, he would fulfill this promise when he asked about the Black Cutlass. Xiao Chen greets Ding Yuan, Chief Manager Ding. After reporting, Xiao Chen was brought to the highest reception room of the West Wind Tower. Ding Yuan received Xiao Chen with a wide smile. However, when he saw Xiao Chen, he was greatly startled, showing a horrified expression. In a short 2 years, Xiao Chen had advanced from a half-step primal core veritable personage to peak late-stage major primal core realm. More importantly, Ding Yuan felt an aura from Xiaochen that inspired fear in his soul. That was a pressure that only a star venerate could give Ding Yuan. For some reason, Ding Yuan felt that the one standing before him was not a major primal core venerate, but a bona fide star venerate. What's wrong? After 2 years, Chief Manager Ding has forgotten about this Xiao? Xiaochen asked indifferently. Ding Yuan recovered his wits after a long time. Then he smiled bitterly and said, I heard that you successfully entered the Blessed Land. However, I truly did not expect you to change so much in a short 2 years. Xiaochen did not deny it. 2 years is not long, it passes in the blink of an eye. I can have my current cultivation because of my accumulations in the veritable personage realm. You should not be surprised. In reality, Xiaochen did not feel that his cultivation had advanced too quickly. When he was in the veritable personage realm, the 10,000-year-old baleful Yin energy and the heavenly Yang pill already helped him establish a firm foundation. The moment he entered the primal core realm, his earlier accumulations erupted, which made sense. This bit of accomplishment was nothing for a 9-star primal core realm cultivator. Shangguan Lei was a venerate who condensed a 6-star primal core and already broke through to star venerate. It was normal for Xiaochen to have his current cultivation. Ding Yuan smiled embarrassedly and said, Let's not talk about this for now. Why are you looking for me? I once made you a promise. If you have anything you need to do, I can help you now. Xiaochen said frankly. Ding Yuan smiled craftily, a shrewd look in his eyes. Then he waved his hand and said, There's no rush. There's no rush. It was still too early to use it. As a shrewd businessman, how could Ding Yuan not see Xiaochen's future prospects? Xiaochen was not surprised. Then he brought up the second matter. Help me ask around for news of the Black Cutlass. I want to meet up with them as soon as possible. Black Cutlass. Ding Yuan slapped his forehead and said, I nearly forgot. This ship is yours. News of the Black Cutlass is not hard to find. Right now, probably all the pirates in the Grave Sea have heard of the Black Cutlass. A thought occurred to Xiaochen. He smiled and said, Let's hear it. 2 years ago, this ship was unknown. However, it is now a famous 4-star pirate group in the Grave Sea. Even some of the veteran 5-star pirate groups have to avoid them when they see them. The most incredible time was when they tricked the Divine Shield Army in a dangerous land. They caused the Divine Shield Army to lose more than half of the Grave Sea's Divine Shield Army. We have tried to hunt it down several times, but we have not succeeded. We have already raised its bounty to the 9th rank of the Grave Sea's wanted list. It's also the only 4-star pirate group in the top 10. It looked like the missing Savage Blood Star Venerate was probably dead. Otherwise, the Iron Hand Yama would not have such a huge grudge against the Divine Shield Army. Without needing to think, Xiaochen could guess that the person who ambushed the Divine Shield Army had to be the Iron Hand Yama of the Black Cutlass. However, Xiaochen did not care about this. He did not have a good impression of the Divine Shield Corps. If the Iron Hand Yama wanted revenge, he would definitely support it. When was the last time the Black Cutlass appeared? Xiaochen asked. He was more concerned about Hai Shui and wanted to see his old friends as soon as possible. Be it the beast governing sex Elder Tang, Fei Er and Luo Nan, whom Xiaochen met when he first arrived in the Great Thousand Realms, or the Iron Hand Yama, who had a sharp tongue but a soft heart, all of them were Xiaochen's friends. I haven't seen her for 2 years and I miss her dearly. Ding Yuan smiled and said, There's no rush. Let me look for it. After a while, Ding Yuan showed a slightly strange expression. What's going on? The last time the Black Cutlass appeared was 3 months ago. Xiaochen asked, What's so strange about that? Ding Yuan looked at Xiaochen and said, Brother Xiaochen, you might not know this, but the various pirate halls pay special attention to such a 4-star pirate ship. No matter where it is, there will be news of it at least once a month. Xiaochen's heart sank. In that case, what's going on now? I'm not sure about that either. However, Brother Xiaochen, don't worry. I don't think the Black Cutlass got wiped out. If it got wiped out, the Pirate Alliance would definitely send out accurate news. It would not be like this, where there is no news at all. Xiaochen thought to himself. The Black Cutlass could summon the Yazi Beast Demon Soul at any time. In the Grave Sea, even if it ran into a peak 5-star pirate ship, it would be able to protect itself. Where was the Black Cutlass 3 months ago? Ding Yuan looked around and said in a trembling voice, "The Grave Island Sea region." Chapter 1766. Grave Island Sea Region? The Grave Sea region was located in the center of this sea. There were a few mysterious islands, all of which were graves, hence the name. The graves on the islands were incredibly mysterious. No one knew whose graves they were, or when they were left behind. That sea region was a forbidden land of the entire Grave Sea. One would most likely die if they entered. Very few people came out of that place alive. Even though that Grave Island had many natural treasures of the outside world, very few people would go and explore it, knowing that death awaited them, who would not care about their lives and charge in. Xiaochen entered deep thought. Luo Nan, Fei and the others would not charge into the Grave Island Sea region for no reason at all. There had to be something wrong with this. He had to find out the reason behind it. If he found out that there were other secrets behind it, he would definitely die. If Xiaochen found out what other secrets there were, he would absolutely not let them off. After some thought, Xiaochen said, "Chief Manager Ding, help me investigate this matter. I want to know why they went to the Grave Sea." "Don't worry. Leave it to me. I will definitely give you an answer within 3 days." Ding Yuan's expression turned grave. It was rare for Xiaochen to ask him for help, and it was within his capabilities to do so. If Ding Yuan improved his relationship with Xiaochen, there would be even more benefits in the future. As a businessman, he could see through this kind of thing very clearly. Xiaochen stayed in a rented courtyard in the pirate hall for now, waiting for news. While waiting, Xiaochen did not remain idle. He took out the starting stance of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique that the venerable Xianbei gave him. The starting stance. Every saber technique had a starting stance. Without a starting stance, it would be an incomplete saber technique that was very incomplete. Even the flawless saber technique that Xiaochen created had a starting stance. However, because Xiaochen created it himself, the starting stance was already ingrained in his heart. There was no need to learn it, as it was his own to begin with. However, if it were someone else's saber technique, then he would have to grasp the starting stance. This was especially so for a cultivation technique that was directly comprehended from a primogenitor grade cultivation technique. Looking at it from a certain point of view, this single starting stance was even more valuable than the 3 crippled moves that Xiaochen had grasped. Xiaochen looked at the painting carefully. A monk, holding a Buddhist commandment blade, made a gesture of getting ready. He held the saber in his right hand and pointed it at the sky. His left hand formed a special Buddhist hand seal. The manager explained that the hand seal was the 7-kill seal. It represented the 7 different killing intents in the world. This handprint was not an original creation of Buddhism. It was absorbed and dissolved from the pagan religion. In the Buddhist sect, it was a forbidden technique that ordinary people could not cultivate. There were also 7 types of killing intent. Xiaochen was deep in thought. He had never seen or heard of such a thing before. After carefully reading the annotations on the scroll, he suddenly realized that it was referring to 7 different mental states. There was an indifferent killing intent, as if he was casually stepping on an ant. There was a killing intent that was as gentle as water, as calm and unruffled as a small stream. When he killed, his mind was calm, and there was even a trace of joy. There was a world-shaking killing intent, as if he wanted to fight a powerful enemy, and was willing to risk his life. There was extreme hatred and killing intent. Anger attacked the heart, shocking the heavens. There was an unbearable killing intent. He didn't want to kill, but he couldn't bear it. After carefully thinking about it, Xiaochen discovered that his killing intent was inseparable from these 7 types. He would eventually be able to find a corresponding one. After forming the 7-kill seal, the wielder's killing intent would increase 7-fold. Furthermore, he would be able to control it as he pleased. When Xiaochen saw this, he could not help but feel his hair stand on end. No wonder this seal was considered a forbidden technique. If an ordinary person cultivated this, It would be strange if they did not enter a state of berserking qi deviation and fall into the demonic Tao. Only a virtuous esteemed monk with a benevolent heart could resolve the repercussions of forming this seal. Xiaochen continued watching. Xiaochen discovered that the crux of this stance was not the 7-kill seal. Instead, it was the understanding of the entire Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique. This saber technique was boundlessly vast, broad, and profound. Everyone could gain different insights from it. Every move and every style could be dismantled. When creating a saber technique according to one's character, its might would be equally terrifying. Every move and stance could be broken down into a profound saber technique. Interesting. It looks like that Zhen Yuan comprehended the Azura Hell Saber from entering hell. This person's mastery of the Buddhist Dharma was indeed superior to Xiaochen's. If Xiaochen had not seen this stance, he definitely would not have thought that a simple saber and stance could be broken down and cultivated. Closing the painting, Xiaochen entered deep thought. He had learned 2 moves of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique: breaking the mundane and resolving the mundane. He thought that he had comprehended the true meaning of his cultivation. However, when he looked at this stance, he discovered that it was just the beginning. As the Buddhists said, 1 flower, 1 world, 1 leaf, 1 Bodhi. 1 move, breaking the mundane, could form a school of its own, branching out from simplicity to complexity. Xiaochen continuously evolved the true meaning of breaking the mundane, using the saber in his hand to interpret it more comprehensively. What about the end? Suddenly, Xiaochen comprehended something. He thought about the cultivation of his saber technique. He thought about his cultivation of saber techniques, but he was just repeating 2 processes, from simplicity to complexity, and from complexity to simplicity. Every time he repeated it, the second time would be even more difficult. It was just like when Xiaochen was in the Kunlun realm. At first, he only learned the simplest and most basic saber techniques. Then he started to learn all sorts of complicated and profound saber techniques. This was going from simplicity to complexity. Finally, he comprehended the flawless saber technique. Everything he learned in half his life was in the 7 moves of the flawless saber technique. This was going from complexity to simplicity. When Xiaochen arrived in the Great Thousand Realms, his horizons were broadened. Then he started to go from simplicity to complexity on the foundation of the flawless saber technique. Suddenly, Xiaochen's mind became clear. His understanding of saber techniques immediately rose by another level. Invisibly, his saber Dao's great Dao energy improved further. Observing the stance of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique allowed him to draw inferences about other cases, benefiting him greatly. Xiaochen closed his eyes and deepened his comprehension further. 2 days later, Xiaochen opened his eyes and started to focus on cultivating the 7-kill seal. Although Xiaochen was not an esteemed monk of the Buddhist sect, his experiences had tempered his mental state to the point that it was no weaker than an esteemed monk's. Furthermore, Xiaochen was not a member of the Buddhist sect and could not break the rules of the Buddhist sect. When cultivating, he had fewer worries, which made it harder for a heart demon to form. With his astonishing comprehension ability, Xiaochen's cultivation of the 7-kill seal, which had clear explanations and paintings as a reference, went rather smoothly. After spending only 3 days, he gained some comprehension. As Xiaochen's left hand's hand seals changed continuously, his heart moved accordingly. The crux of successfully forming the 7-kill seal was that the various killing intents in one's heart had to change according to the hand seals. There could not be any mistakes. Otherwise, one would fail. Slowly, Xiaochen felt his killing intent become like water, strangely connecting with the hand seals of his left hand. As the killing intent changed, it molded into all sorts of shapes, entering a wondrous state. Xiaochen's nimble hands formed all sorts of hand seals, and the killing intent in his heart moved accordingly. Eventually, Xiaochen discovered that his killing intent no longer came from his heart. Instead, it was completely controlled by his left hand. Instead, his heart became a bystander, entering a certain ethereal state. It was like a lotus flower never touching water or the sun and moon never hanging high in the sky. The so-called killing intent was just pure killing intent. It had nothing to do with my heart or with me, Xiaochen. He directly stripped the killing intent from his heart. With a quick glance, the 7-kill seal had already been formed. The entire cultivation room was enveloped by an extremely enormous and heavy killing intent, yet Xiaochen didn't feel anything. Disperse. With a slight movement of his left hand, the boundless killing intent vanished. Gotcha. It was as if a bright moon had fallen into the water, splashing clear water. Xiaochen's heart also fell into the water along with the bright moon. It was over. That ethereal state. Xiaochen woke up with a start. His eyes were bright and clear. His soul seemed to have been cleansed just now. His eyes were exceptionally clear and bright, without a speck of dust, just like a gem. His body emitted a simple, elegant, and otherworldly aura that merged with the ice-feathered divine art that he cultivated, making him appear even more extraordinary. The cultivation techniques of the Buddhist sect were truly profound. Xiaochen sighed in his heart. Although the 7-kill seal seemed to be boundlessly domineering, it did not seem like a Buddhist cultivation technique. But on the inside, it was a Buddhist sect cultivation technique. Young Master Xiao, I found it. Just at this moment, Chief Steward Ding's voice rang out from outside the room. Xiaochen startled awake. 7 days have passed already? I really didn't feel it. Chapter 1767. Ding Yuan walked in with a somewhat grave expression. He said to Xiaochen, "Young Master Xiao, it is indeed as you expected. There is more to this matter than meets the eye." "Is that so? What's the secret?" When Xiaochen saw Ding Yuan's strange expression, he knew that something was wrong, so he wasn't surprised. Ding Yuan told Xiaochen about the information he gathered. "Young Master Xiao, have you heard of the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group?" Xiaochen shook his head and said, "I do not know much about the pirate factions of the Grave Sea." Ding Yuan said after some thought, "The original 2 overlords of the Grave Sea are the Savage Blood Pirate Group and the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group. They are both peak 5-star pirate groups, and their captains are peak early-stage star venerates. With their 5-star pirate ships, unless the Blessed Enclave's Grand Supreme Elder appears, almost no one can stop them." Xiaochen nodded to show that he understood, and gestured for Ding Yuan to continue. "The Black Cutlass came into contact with the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group 3 months ago. After that, the Black Cutlass went to the Grave Island Sea region." Ding Yuan said somewhat apologetically, "What exactly happened is rather secretive. I am not very clear about it. However, I guess that the Black Cutlass venturing to the Grave Island Sea region might be related to the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group." Xiaochen entered deep thought. "You mean that the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group forced the Black Cutlass to go to the Grave Island Sea region?" Ding Yuan nodded and said, "I don't dare to say that it is definitely so. However, based on the information I received from various sources, the Black Cutlass should be asking this Wolf Smoke Pirate for help. Helpless, I was forced to go to the Grave Island Sea region." "Helpless? Forced?" Yes, Remnant Blood and the Wolf Smoke Pipe were very powerful in the past, and there was a grudge between them for a long time. After that, Savage Blood was destroyed, and their Iron Hand Yama went to the Black Cutlass. Ding Yuan paused for a moment before continuing. Given the personality of the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's captain, it is impossible for him not to make things difficult for them. The corners of Xiaochen's mouth curled up into a smile. That smile caused Ding Yuan to shiver inexplicably, and he felt waves of coldness assaulting him. Xiaochen could not help but feel shocked. He clearly did not feel any killing intent from young Master Xiao. Why did his heart tremble for some reason? Wolf Smoke Pirate Crew. Xiaochen muttered to himself, repeating the name of this pirate crew several times. Young Master Xiao, going to the Grave Island Sea region, might not necessarily lead to trouble. It would not be too late to make a decision after confirming whether the Black Cutlass is safe or not. Ding Yuan's meaning was clear. Although Xiaochen was pretty strong, he had not broken through to Star Venerate in the end. Furthermore, the other party was an old overlord of the Grave Sea Pirates. If the crew of the Black Cutlass was safe and nothing happened, this matter would be over. The less trouble, the better. Fighting them head-on would not be advantageous. After all, not only was the captain of the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group an old monster who had advanced to Star Venerate many years ago, but the group also had many experts. No matter how one looked at it, Xiaochen alone wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. He might even end up humiliating himself and losing his life. Ding Yuan's heart was filled with worry, but he didn't mean anything else. Xiaochen said calmly, I don't have any evidence and can only rely on speculation. I won't act recklessly. That's good. Ding Yuan heaved a sigh of relief. If Xiaochen really wanted to seek trouble for the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group, he would not know what to do. However, this involves my friend. Even if it is just a guess, I have to find the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group to clarify things. The Black Cutlass is not something that can be casually bullied by him. Ding Yuan's heavy heart immediately tensed up again. Young Master Xiao, but Xiaochen waved his hand and said, Chief Manager Ding, there is no need to try to persuade me. Give me a copy of the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's information. The more detailed, the better. Feeling helpless, Ding Yuan sighed. I guess that it might be impossible to persuade you. I have already prepared the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's information in advance. After saying that, Ding Yuan handed a stack of information that he had prepared in advance to Xiaochen. Xiaochen received it and read it seriously. After a while, he closed the stack and muttered to himself. The Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's captain, Jiang Hengchuan, was known as the Wolf King. He was iron-blooded and tyrannical, cruel, and cunning. He was a peak early-stage star venerate who had experienced hundreds of battles and killed people like flies. In the Grave Sea he was a bona fide tyrant. Even the rank 3 sects of the Blessed Lands would give him face. When the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group ran into his pirate ship, he would not clash head-on. He would always bribe the Savage Blood Star Venerate before leaving. Earlier, he had been equally famous as the Savage Blood Star Venerate. However, he had always been slightly inferior to the Savage Blood Star Venerate. Now that the Savage Blood Star Venerate was destroyed, he became the sole tyrant of the Grave Sea. In the past 2 years, his strength had soared tremendously. The Savage Blood Star Venerate had recruited the experts of many pirate groups. Among the pirates of the Grave Sea, he held great prestige and rallying power. The Savage Blood Star Venerate had 8 experts under him. All of them were peak major primal core cultivators, no weaker than an ordinary Star Venerate. There was also a vice captain, whose strength was second only to the Savage Blood Star Venerate, also an early-stage Star Venerate expert. The Wolf Smoke Pirate Group had a total of 8 pirate ships, 1 peak 5-star pirate ship and 7 ordinary 5-star pirate ships. Right now, the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group was at its peak. What strong strength! They were even stronger than the Savage Blood Star Venerate from back then. As for how strong the Savage Blood Star Venerate was, Xiaochen had personally experienced it. Xiaochen remembered back then, when the Savage Blood Star Venerate issued a mission, he immediately gathered thousands of pirate groups. The scene was very grand, and he still remembered it vividly. The Wolf King's birthday will be in the middle of this month. At that time, he will hold a banquet at the largest pirate hall in the Grave Sea, inviting all the pirate groups of various sizes. Ding Yuan quickly told Xiaochen the next piece of news. When Xiaochen heard that, he felt stunned. So high profile. Ding Yuan smiled and said, he has no choice but to be high profile. Right now the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group is at its peak. He wants to use this birthday banquet to see who will not dare to give him face and oppose him, pushing his influence to the peak. Secondly, he wants to accept gifts. The pirates of various sizes who come to the banquet will definitely be prepared to accept gifts. Pirates never lack treasures or spirit jades. Those who want to curry favor with him will definitely give valuable gifts. Those who do not want to curry favor with him will be afraid of offending him by giving too little. In this way, the gifts will pile up to an astronomical figure. Such a method of gaining wealth is even more brilliant and powerful than being a pirate. The businessman, Ding Yuan, was able to tell what was going on with a single glance. He spoke bluntly. Xiaochen looked at Ding Yuan and said, you mean that this is the most suitable time for me to look for him? That's right. Otherwise, he would be on the pirate ship the rest of the time. At that time, even if young Master Xiao has extraordinary means, in the end, he will not be able to escape death. Ding Yuan hesitated somewhat, but he still spoke the truth in the end. Xiaochen knew the might of a pirate ship. Even a middle-stage Star Venerate would not be able to take down a peak 5-star pirate ship. The Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan's strength was extraordinary in the first place. Coupled with the pirate ship, it would be even more difficult to deal with him. Xiaochen gave Ding Yuan a deep look and said, "Many thanks. In the future, if Chief Manager Ding wants to go to the Profound Light Temple to pay respects to Buddha, you can use my name to look for the Venerable Xianbei." Ding Yuan was a Buddhist, and was rather devout in his faith. When he heard that, he felt shocked. The Profound Light Temple was a holy land in the hearts of the Buddhist believers in the Grave Sea. More importantly, Xiaochen actually knew the Venerable Xianbei. Based on Xiaochen's tone, it seemed like their relationship was close. This greatly startled Ding Yuan. He simply did not expect it. In a mere 2 years, Xiaochen had already reached such heights. The Venerable Xianbei was one of the top experts in the entire Grave Sea. No wonder Xiaochen was so confident, daring to seek out the Wolf Smoke pirate group to clarify things. At first, Ding Yuan thought that Xiaochen was going to send himself to death. There's no need. Young Master Xiao is too polite. This is just something as easy as lifting a finger. It was me who misunderstood earlier. Since that is the case, why don't young Master Xiao invite the Venerable Xianbei? With the Venerable Xianbei's status, that Wolf King will not dare to behave atrociously. Xiaochen shook his head and said, "I do not like owing favors. Furthermore, this is my personal matter." More importantly, Xiaochen did not feel that he could not handle it. In Dragon Flame City, Xiaochen challenged the young experts of the dozens of nearby astral clusters. He had not suffered a single defeat. His vision was no longer limited to the Grave Sea. No matter how strong the Wolf Smoke pirate group was, there was a limit to it. Right now, the most important question was what exactly the Black Cutlass wanted from the Wolf Smoke pirate group. This was the crux of the problem. Ding Yuan had been worried about Xiaochen's safety. That was not what he considered at all. Chapter 1768. What exactly was the matter? Why did the Black Cutlass seek the Wolf Smoke pirate group's help? This was the most important thing in this conflict. Xiaochen thought for a while before saying, "Chief Manager Ding, I still have to ask you for a favor." "Young Master Xiao, please speak your mind. There is no need to stand on ceremony. I would like to know why the Black Cutlass seeks the Wolf Smoke pirate group's help." I'll do my best. However, I cannot guarantee anything. Many thanks." After Ding Yuan left, Xiaochen looked at the Wolf Smoke pirate group's information and entered deep thought. The middle of this month was the birthday banquet of that so-called Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan. After careful calculation, it was only a little more than 10 days, if the journey was also included. If one included the distance, that would leave Xiaochen with only a short 8 days to prepare. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen walked out of the courtyard and arrived at the Pirate Hall's bazaar. Xiaochen never fought a battle that he was not confident in, nor would he act rashly. 8 days was sufficient for him to make proper preparations. The Pirate Hall's bazaar was always bustling. Here, one could get cheated or pick up scraps. The bazaar was not as formal as the auction house. However, there was an additional possibility. Hence, even some major customers frequented this kind of free bazaar. Xiaochen needed a set of materials with a tyrannical attribute, and filled with baleful qi that were suitable for him to carve. He could not search the auction house in 8 days, so he could only come to the bazaar to try his luck. As Xiaochen strolled through the bazaar, his eyes flickered with a bright light. He did not miss a single stall of the various places. Even those inconspicuous stalls were not left out. "My luck is pretty good." After a while, Xiaochen revealed a faint smile. When he saw a stall that caught his eye, he hoped to succeed on his first try. "This little brother, with one look, I can tell that you have good taste. This beast bone of mine is the wing bone of one of the ancient overlords of the sea, the dragon shadow condor. My final offer is 500,000 medial-grade spirit jades." The stall owner was a skinny old man who hid his cultivation. However, Xiaochen could make it out. This was a low-profile star venerate. His clothes and aura did not stand out. The stall only had this wing bone as a treasure, and its price was extremely high. Clearly, It was waiting for someone with a good eye to come and sell it for a good price. Previously, there had been quite a few youngsters who were interested in this wing bone. After knowing the price, they all left while cursing the stall owner for being greedy. The dragon shadow condor is one of the few bird beasts that have dragon blood in them. Apart from the dragon blood, it also had a trace of the underworld ghost bird's bloodline. Those who have survived until now are all overlords comparable to human kings. Xiaochen squatted down and observed the wing bone. He spoke in a soft voice, neither too fast nor too slow. While talking, Xiaochen sent a wisp of his soul consciousness into the wing bone. Hua! In his mind, a huge black eagle appeared. When the black eagle spread its wings, it was at least 1,000 feet wide. Flying close to the surface of the sea, it created huge waves. There was a faint feeling of a dragon's roar in the wind stirred up by the wings, shaking the surroundings. The strangest thing was that the figure of this huge black eagle seemed somewhat illusory. It was similar to the faux god flame, existing between reality and illusion. Some splashes of water passed through his wings like it was air, directly passing through. This was indeed the real deal. The stall owner did not lie. This little brother has good eyes. The stall owner's originally listless eyes immediately lit up. Originally, he thought that Xiaochen would be like the other youths, not knowing what was good. Unexpectedly, the moment Xiaochen opened his mouth, he mentioned the miraculous aspect of the dragon shadow condor. Xiaochen withdrew his spiritual sense and sighed softly. Unfortunately, although it is strange and has the ability to illusory parts of its body, its true offensive power cannot compare to the nine-winged thunder rock. Its ability to illusory parts cannot compare to the nine-winged thunder rock. Its ability to illusory parts cannot compare to the authentic underworld ghost bird. The stall owner smiled in his heart. Reliable. They were going to haggle over the price. However, the stall owner misunderstood. Xiaochen truly felt that it was unfortunate. If it were a nine-winged thunder rock or an authentic underworld ghost bird, he would have liked it. It was barely enough. Without waiting for the stall owner to speak, Xiaochen directly handed him a spatial ring. There were exactly 500,000 medial-grade spirit jades in it. This, little brother, you are really straightforward. The stall owner was stunned for a while before he reacted. He had only said a few words, and it was already done. This was truly unexpected, making him feel some regret. Did he set the price too low? Wait. Xiaochen, who had already put away the dragon shadow condor's wing bone, turned around and said cautiously, "Are you going back on your word?" "No, this old man's reputation has always been good." The stall owner smiled and said, "I still have something that I have not sold yet. Little brother, why don't you take a look?" Time was limited. Since Xiaochen had already obtained the materials he wanted, he no longer had the patience to remain here. No matter how precious the other treasures were, Xiaochen had no use for them. "Never mind, take it out and let me take a look," Xiaochen said casually. The stall owner took out a transparent jade bottle containing something that looked like fresh blood. With just one look, Xiaochen could not shift his gaze away. The fresh blood seemed to have a demonic nature, wriggling slowly and giving off a strange light. Xiaochen recovered his wits. Then he looked at the stall owner and said in surprise, "This is a drop of pure dragon shadow condor essence blood. I am somewhat curious. Did you kill a dragon shadow condor that still exists today?" That was a tyrant of the sea equal to a sovereign personage. With this old man's strength, he would not even be enough to fill the gaps between its teeth. More importantly, the strongest person in the grave sea was only a holy venerate. It had already been several hundred years since a sovereign personage had appeared. "Old man, naturally I don't have that ability. This drop of dragon shadow condor essence blood. This drop of dragon shadow condor essence blood was obtained by chance in a forbidden sea." A forbidden sea? Xiaochen frowned slightly. He had heard Xiao Suo speak of the Great Thousand Realms before. There were a total of 7 forbidden seas, the dreamlands of all pirates. Those were the 7 forbidden seas that drifted alone in the starry heavens. Those were the seas where true pirate experts roamed. That was the true starry heavens. There seemed to be some clues connecting in Xiaochen's mind. He thought of something but could not grasp the crux of it. "Little brother, What do you think? Do you want this dragon shadow condor essence blood? Xiaochen collected his thoughts and shook his head. No. Although it was something good, Xiaochen really did not need it. Carving the life bestowal spell did require essence blood. However, it only required Xiaochen's essence blood. Xiaochen's blue dragon bloodline was much more noble and tyrannical than the dragon shadow condor. When the time came, Xiaochen's blue dragon essence blood would definitely assimilate the dragon shadow condor essence blood. It would not have any effect at all. The stall owner immediately felt very frustrated. If you do not want it, you should have said so earlier. After waiting for so long, I thought that I could make another big deal. Ignoring the stall owner, Xiaochen brought the wing bone back to the courtyard. After entering the secret room, he took out a carving knife and the wing bone and started carving seriously. Xiaochen's movements were slow and focused. With every cut, he discovered that Xiaochen's complexion paled slightly, in a place that the naked eye could not see. In the soul pool, the azure dragon medallion that represented Xiaochen's will of soul was slowly dimming. This was the first time that Xiaochen had spent so much effort on carving since he entered the Great Thousand Realms. Every saber strike was infused with Xiaochen's soul energy. From the first cut, it contained spiritual energy and an inner soul. Such a high-level carving was also a test for Xiaochen's carving skills. It was also a test for his physical body and soul. If he was not careful, his soul might rebound and hurt his foundation. In the secret room, Xiaochen's movements showed a different kind of beauty. The entire world seemed to have slowed down because of his movements. After a full 7 days, Xiaochen consecutively used 7 drops of pure blue dragon essence blood. His complexion was terrifyingly weak. Before this, no matter what kind of carving, Xiaochen would only use 1 drop of essence blood. This time he used an unprecedented 7 drops of essence blood. This was the limit that his physical body could endure. However, after doing all this, Xiaochen revealed a rare relaxed smile on his weak face. It was enough. The trouble of the Wolf Smoke pirate group would no longer be a problem. What exactly was he carving for him to be so confident? Chapter 1769. The next morning, Ding Yuan came to see Xiaochen. He was startled when he saw Xiaochen's expression. Young Master Xiao, you entered a state of berserking qi deviation. At this moment, Xiaochen's face was frighteningly pale. His qi and blood were weak. It was as if he had gone berserk and suffered from internal injuries. Xiaochen forced a smile and said, I'm fine. Chief Steward Ding, you don't have to worry too much. I'll be fine after a few days of recovery. Ding Yuan reluctantly believed Xiaochen's words. He said sullenly, I have let down young Master Zhao's trust. I simply cannot make any deductions from the information I gathered. What exactly does the Black Cutlass need from the Wolf Smoke pirate group? Xiaochen told the other party about some of the clues he thought of yesterday. Then he said, let me ask you something. Are there any requirements for pirate groups to enter the Forbidden Seas? Why are you asking about this? Tell me about it. All right, no one would go to the taboo ocean for no reason, because it is too dangerous. Just the route alone is already far enough, not to mention the dangers of the taboo ocean itself. Xiaochen nodded. I know what you're talking about. Tell me more about it. To be more specific, it is impossible for ordinary pirate ships to enter the taboo ocean with their own strength. Xiaochen was deep in thought. What is this common concept? Below 5 stars. The best pirate ship in the Grave Sea was a 5-star pirate ship. The Wolf Smoke pirate ship possessed the strength to deter the rank 3 sects of the Blessed Lands from clashing head-on with it. Could it be that they could not enter as well? Xiaochen couldn't help but ask his own question. Ding Yuan smiled faintly and said, This is a little special. The Wolf Smoke pirate group just happens to have the ability to enter the Forbidden Sea. Xiaochen asked curiously, why? The Grave Seas Pirate Alliance Palace once issued 3 Iron Blood tokens to the Savage Blood Pirate Group, the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group, and another pirate group. With this medallion, one can use the power of the Grave Sea Pirate Group to enter the Forbidden Sea directly. Ding Yuan explained the ins and outs of the matter, and told Xiaochen the detailed reasons. After hearing that, Xiaochen suddenly felt enlightened. He understood. Can the Iron Blood token be transferred? Sure. There's only one chance anyway. They would only issue the Iron Blood token if they made contributions to the Pirate Alliance in the future. The Pirate Alliance recognizes orders and not people. Xiaochen muttered in his heart. True enough. He now knew what the Black Cutlass needed from the Wolf Smoke conglomerate. It was the Iron Blood token. However, Ding Yuan did not understand Xiaochen's thoughts. He continued, however, it looks like the Wolf Smoke pirate group has no intention of going to the Forbidden Seas at all. The Iron Blood token is simply a waste in their hands. Now he is the king of the Grave Sea, living a carefree life. With just one birthday banquet, all the pirates of the Grave Sea did not dare to not give him face, competing to curry favor with him. Xiaochen did not continue listening. He cupped his hands and said, Many thanks for the answer, Chief Steward Ding. I will take my leave first. See you later. Without waiting for Ding Yuan to respond, Zhang Xian left in a flash. Answer? What is the answer? Ding Yuan was confused. He didn't know what Xiaochen understood. After leaving the pirate hall, Xiaochen flew over the sea at lightning speed. The seawater of the Grave Sea was different from ordinary seawater. It was a sea of stars formed after countless stars shattered and merged together. The gravity was very strong and strongly corrosive. When Xiaochen first arrived in the Grave Sea, it was extremely difficult for him to fly above it. Now there was no problem. His physique could already completely resist the gravity of the seawater. Flying above was easy. Xiaochen's destination was very clear. The largest pirate hall in the Grave Sea, the place where the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan held his birthday banquet. Xiaochen's figure moved like lightning. The instant he flew over, few people could sense him. What fast speed! After not returning for so many years, the Grave Sea actually produced such a strong youth. On the surface of the sea, there was a pirate ship that did not look very majestic. A middle-aged man in captain's uniform stood at the bow of the ship. From his words, it was clear that he had extraordinary strength and good judgment. This person caught a glimpse. Not only did he see Xiaochen's figure, but he also clearly saw Xiaochen's appearance and determined his age. Captain, I seem to have seen this youth before. The middle-aged captain revealed an interested expression. Then he turned his head back and smiled. Old Yuan, you know him? This youth is not simple. How did you get to know him? Tell me. If Xiaochen were here, he would definitely recognize this old Yuan. This was the stall owner who sold him the Dragon Shadow Condor Wing Bone. Old Yuan explained. That day, Captain was reminiscing with the pirate hall's hall master. Since I had nothing to do, I went to the market to sell some leftover goods from the Forbidden Sea. This youth is not only knowledgeable, but he is also very generous. He sold 500,000 medial-grade spirit jades without even blinking. Also, although Xiaochen had only interacted with Xiaochen that day for a short time, he left a deep impression on this stall owner. Hence, Xiaochen remembered it very clearly and told everything that happened back then to this middle-aged captain. He seemed to be in a rush, clearly in a rush. He hid the killing chi in his eyes very well. The situation was clearly very urgent, but he did not show any killing chi or killing intent on his face. The middle-aged captain smiled meaningfully and said, I'm rather curious. Who is he going to kill, and what is he doing with that wing bone? 5 days later, the largest pirate hall in the Grave Sea appeared before Xiaochen's eyes. When Xiaochen looked at the pirate hall's harbor, he saw many pirate ships with all sorts of flags. The number was startling, even more majestic than what Xiaochen had seen previously. There were countless experts coming and going. Pirate ships continued to descend and gather at the harbor. Is this the place? It looks like I came somewhat early. After hesitating for a moment, Xiaochen flew down. After a while, he entered the pirate hall. After asking around, Xiaochen found out that he had come 1 day early. The Wolf Smoke Sovereign's birthday banquet was tomorrow. The Wolf Smoke Sovereign had great prestige. There were more than 3,000 guests. All those with some background in the Grave Sea were invited. Some of the guests who were not invited came because of the Wolf Smoke Sovereign's reputation, wanting to network and build a good relationship. The waiter who revealed the news to Xiao Chun sized up Xiao Chun with a few glances and said, "Young master, you want to attend the birthday banquet as well, right? However, you do not have an invitation, right?" Xiao Chun smiled and retorted, "Do I look like a pirate to you? Who says that you have to be a pirate to attend the birthday banquet? The Wolf King's birthday banquet is a grand occasion of the Grave Sea, a rare occurrence. There are many people here to watch the excitement. If you are interested, just say so. I have some connections to help you get an invitation." The waiter looked over with a smile. It was like he already saw through Xiao Chun and knew what he was thinking. Xiao Chun put down his wine cup and said, "There's no harm in taking a look. How much does one invitation cost?" "No bargaining. 200,000 inferior grade spirit jades." Xiao Chun thought to himself, this is really shady. The Wolf King's birthday banquet not only earns money for himself, but also provides for his subordinates. The Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's people must have gotten the invitation in private. Otherwise, how could an outsider obtain an invitation? You think it's expensive? Ha! Don't think it's expensive. 200,000 inferior grade spirit jades is limited. Furthermore, this is just the invitations for the outer regions. The invitations for the inner regions are even more expensive. The waiter could tell what Xiao Chun was thinking, so he spoke somewhat loftily. Xiao Chun smiled faintly and said, "If you have an invitation for the main banquet, I will accept it even if you offer 500,000 medial grade spirit jades. Do you have any?" The waiter immediately smiled embarrassedly and said, "How can I sell invitations for the main banquet? They are all people that the Wolf King personally invited. They are not open to the public. No matter how much spirit jades you have, you will not be able to buy one. This depends on strength. You will need to have at least a peak 4-star pirate ship. Otherwise, how could you be qualified to sit at the main banquet?" Xiao Chun entered deep thought. To think that the main banquet is not open to the public. This is somewhat difficult. Never mind. Give me an invitation for the outer regions. I need to use it tomorrow. Alright, that's not a problem. Late at night, Xiao Chun sat cross-legged and closed his eyes to rest. At the same time, he nurtured his aura. After 4 days of rushing, he had only exhausted his veritable essence energy. His soul energy and physique had already recovered to normal. He only needed 1 night to recuperate, and his mental state would reach its peak. The moment dawn arrived, Xiao Chun opened his eyes on time. A brilliant light flashed in them. Chapter 1770. Dawn had already arrived, and Xiao Chun had already made up his mind to kill. Xiao Chun pushed open the door and came out. He happened to run into the waiter who had prepared the invitation for him yesterday. "Young master, you are up really early. Are you rushing to the Wolf King's birthday banquet?" Xiao Chun smiled faintly, and casually found a table to sit at. Then he took out the white harmony flower head tea that the venerable Xian Bei gave him. He handed it to the waiter and said, "There's no rush. Brew me a pot of tea first." "All right." The waiter quickly received the tea leaves. Soon he brought out a tea set and started brewing tea on Xiao Chun's table. The waiter was very familiar with brewing tea. Although he was not very skilled, he was experienced and knowledgeable. After all, this was the largest pirate hall in the Grave Sea, and the inn was the best. For one to be a waiter here, one had to be truly capable. The waiter used boiling water to brew the tea leaves. He discovered that as the tea leaves rolled around, a faint fragrance wafted out. As the waiter looked at the water in the teacup, he seemed to see his own life in the haziness. Figures came and went in a hurry in the inn. The waiter came with a smile and left with a smile. However, in the depths of his heart, he watched coldly from the sidelines, laughing and cursing, not himself. There were young chivalrous men, baleful pirates, sorrowful women, forthright men, and authoritative powerhouses in his eyes. The waiter had seen all sorts of things in the world, seen the bustling world of mortals. However, he suddenly discovered that he could not see through his own life. He watched coldly until the end, when he saw his already numb self appear in the teacup. Time passed quickly. Only when one's head turned white did one realize that time was priceless. "What did you see?" Xiao Chun suddenly asked, startling the waiter awake. The waiter looked at Xiao Chun, and his expression changed slightly. Then he smiled and said, "No, I didn't see anything. These tea leaves have not stretched out yet. They need to be steeped in boiling water a few more times before they can stretch out and bring out the best tea fragrance." Xiao Chun knew what the waiter was thinking. He smiled and said, "This tea is called White Harmony Flower Head Tea. It needs a total of 7 steeps before it can reach its best state. But if you directly taste the 7th brew, you won't be able to taste the essence of this tea. The white hair of the Xiaohua period is but a blink of an eye. In the world, in the beautiful things, in the sincere feelings, there will always be a moment of loss. You don't have to deliberately be sad. What you need to experience is precisely the process of parting." Xiao Chun directly took a sip, the first brew of white Xiaohua, put down the teacup, and directly left. "Young master, your tea is not ready yet?" The waiter chased after him and shouted. "Keep it and savor it yourself." Looking at Xiao Chun's departing figure, the waiter's heart pounded. He felt that there was more to this white-robed youth's words. The purpose of going to the Wolf King's birthday banquet was not as simple as just joining in the fun. Shaking his head, Zhang Xian returned to the tavern. The waiter continued to brew tea. He was curious about what the white-robed Gongzi saw in the tea. With the invitation in hand, Xiao Chun arrived in front of an imposing courtyard in the pirate hall. They were early enough, but they still had to line up. There is no mistake about the invitation. However, what did you prepare as a birthday gift? When it was Xiao Chun's turn, the cultivator guarding the door handed the invitation to Xiao Chun and asked for a birthday gift. Xiao Chun had long since prepared for this. He took out a jade bottle and handed it to the other party. "Young hero Xiao Chun, I present you a peak-grade life juice source." The guard at the door shouted, startling everyone and attracting the attention of several people. This was a huge gift. "Hee. This young master, please come in. Please come in." This huge gift instantly startled the upper echelon of the Wolf Smoke pirate group responsible for receiving them. Then they saw that Xiao Chun had an extraordinary air. Half of his hair was black and the other half was white, appearing cold and proud. Not daring to be slow, Xiao Chun, who held the invitation in the outer area, was successfully invited to the inner area. "Young master is really generous. If you had reported your name earlier, the captain might have invited you to the main banquet." The pirate serving Xiao Chun said with a smile. Xiao Chun said casually, "That is really unfortunate. I wonder, where is the main banquet being held?" "Do you see that tall building? The main banquet of the Wolf King's birthday banquet is on the top floor." Xiao Chun looked in the direction that the pirate pointed. He saw a tall building in the center of the courtyard. From the windows of the tall building, one could look out in all directions, taking in the entire grand occasion of the birthday banquet. However, the people outside could not see the situation inside. Xiao Chun smiled and said, "Sir, please go and receive the other honored guests. I'll take a look around. I wonder if that is convenient." "Haha. That's nothing. Everyone who comes is a guest. Furthermore, young master's gift is so huge. Don't blame me for not receiving you well." That person said straightforwardly. That person laughed straightforwardly. Clearly, he saw that Xiao Chun had an extraordinary background and did not dare to slight him. This was the effect of a huge gift. If it were an ordinary gift, Xiao Chun would not be able to enter this place casually and look around. Now that he obtained this person's approval, it would be much more convenient. It could only be said that it was worth it. As time passed, the spacious residence became livelier and livelier. Xiao Chun secretly observed and discovered that the honored guests personally invited by the Wolf King would be led into the tall building by specialized people. It was impossible for ordinary people to enter. The surroundings of the tall building were heavily guarded, and there were experts patrolling. However, in Xiao Chun's opinion, he had even barged into the cluster lord's residence. Even though the security was tight, it was nothing to him. Furthermore, that Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan simply did not believe that someone would dare to cause trouble at his birthday banquet. Right now, the Wolf Smoke pirate group was at its peak, dominating the grave sea and moving about unhindered. Anyone who dared to touch his eyebrows at this time was courting death. As for the true major characters of the Grave Sea, the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan did not think that he had offended them. Although he was arrogant and despotic, he could see the situation clearly. He would not get involved with people and forces that he could not afford to offend. For example, he would never rob a rank 4 sect in the blessed and heavenly lands. Although he was arrogant, he knew his place. This was the reason why the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan could become the king of the Grave Sea pirates. Of course, a large part of the reason was that the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group no longer had any opponents, allowing the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group to develop to its current level. At noon, the birthday banquet officially began. The various guests all took their places. Then all the windows on the top floor of the tall building opened. A tall old man with a sinister gaze and a few faint scars on his face appeared in everyone's vision. The guests in any corner only needed to raise their heads slightly to see that person. This person was the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's captain, the one known as the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan. Thank you, fellow cultivators and friends, for giving this Jiang face and coming to this old man's birthday banquet. I am truly overwhelmed by this favor, and do not dare to accept it. This old man will drink 3 cups to thank everyone. Right after speaking, the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan took out a wine cup the size of a bowl and downed 3 cups. This immediately elicited cheers from countless people. The guests were all pirates, people who loved wine. The Wolf King's hearty drinking marked the curtains to the birthday banquet. The many guests at the various tables all started drinking to their heart's content. Cassier. Cassier. The windows on the top floor of the tall building all closed. Immediately, no one could see the scene in the main banquet. The crowd did not mind. It was normal for the Wolf King to put on airs. If anyone could come into contact with the Wolf King, then the guests would not care about the Wolf King. However, no one could see that someone was lying on the roof beam of the top floor. At this moment, a person was lying on the roof beam, looking at the clouds in the sky and listening to the conversation of the main banquet below. Xiao Chen had barged into the cluster lord's residence before. Naturally, it would not be difficult for him to hide this from the people below. Actually, the main banquet had already started long ago. There was only one large round table on the top floor. More than 100 people sat around it. All of them were at least late-stage major primal core cultivators. Most of them were early-stage star venerates. At the very least, these people were ruthless people with peak 4-star pirate ships. This was a gathering of the strongest and most influential pirates in the Grave Sea. Xiao Chen waited for an opportunity to make a move. He wanted to hear some useful information before going in to ask the Wolf King. 1 hour later, amid the clamor, when Xiao Chen heard the words Black Cutlass, he immediately perked up. Boss Jiang, I heard that the Black Cutlass came to you to borrow the Iron Blood token. After drinking, the topic of conversation became more open. One of the captains heard the news and took the opportunity to ask about it. Jiang Hengchuan smiled in disdain and said, An insignificant 4-star pirate group is really bold. That's right. That is indeed the case. However, I sent them to the Grave Island Sea region. If they can help me obtain a ghost cloud flower, perhaps I can consider it. The moment Jiang Hengchuan said that, a wave of exclamations rang out. To think that the Black Cutlass really went to the Grave Island Sea region. That was a dangerous place. The Wolf King was really ruthless. If that Black Cutlass really finds a ghost cloud flower, will Boss Jiang give them the Iron Blood token? Someone asked. Jiang Hengchuan's gaze sank as he looked at this person, inspiring some fear in that person. After a while, Jiang Hengchuan smiled and said, This old man was just joking. To think that a bunch of fools actually believed it. What can I do? Will you go to the Grave Island Sea region? Ha! That person was stunned for a while. Then he laughed and said, Of course not. Only a fool would go to the Grave Island Sea region. Ha ha ha. Immediately, the group of people roared with laughter. Indeed, only a fool would go to a place like the Grave Island Sea region. As they laughed, Xiao Chen, who was on the roof, laughed as well. However, this laughter contained heavy murderous intent. Chapter 1771. Everyone at the main banquet laughed heartily. Under the indulgence of fine wine, their laughter became increasingly unbridled. They spoke openly about the black scimitar's faults. It was as if mocking the black scimitar would not be able to blend in. Speaking of which, this was normal. Many times, the dining table needed such a spice to make everyone laugh heartily. However, what was unusual was that the true master of the black scimitar was on the roof. Boom! Just as everyone was laughing heartily, a hole suddenly appeared in the roof. Xiaochen drifted down and landed on a wine flask, looking as light as a feather. Who is it? Such a scene startled the guests at the main banquet. Not knowing what was going on, the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan's face sank. When he saw that Xiaochen did not give off any killing qi, he waved his hand to stop the people behind him, who were about to attack. Then he looked at Xiaochen and asked, "Who are you? Why are you so rude?" Xiaochen exerted some force with his feet, and a wave of energy surged out. Immediately, all the delicacies on the table flew into the air and shot out in all directions. The guests in the surroundings were in a flurry as they tried to block the mess of filth that came their way. After the energy wave passed, the table became much cleaner. Then Xiaochen sat on the floor. He looked at the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan and said, "Were you not very happy earlier? Untalented, I am the master of the black scimitar." Whoosh! The moment Xiaochen said that, a commotion immediately broke out. The guests all showed somewhat embarrassed expressions. This was normal. Speaking ill of others behind their backs, mocking them as fools. Who knew that the other party happened to be right beside them? After being caught red-handed, it would be strange if they were not embarrassed. The scene immediately turned somewhat strange. The originally aggressive people who wanted to reprimand Xiaochen immediately swallowed back their words. Just as the words were about to come out of his mouth, he forcefully swallowed them back. Actually, everyone also found it strange. Even if they spoke ill of others behind their backs, they would not feel so uncomfortable. Even if they were caught speaking ill of others, they would not feel so uncomfortable. But why was it that when he faced this young man, he felt that he was in the wrong and did not dare to be impudent? When the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan saw Xiaochen reveal his identity, he felt somewhat in the wrong. But then he laughed coldly. "What? Do you have a problem with me using the black scimitar as a monkey?" As soon as these words came out, everyone was startled. That's right, why should I feel bad? Why should I be in the wrong? This was the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan's birthday banquet. The Wolf King was a peak early-stage star venerate. He also had 8 strong subordinates, all small perfection early-stage star venerates or great perfection early-stage star venerates. Here, the weakest cultivator was a peak major primal core cultivator. Why was he in the wrong? The strong preyed on the weak. Even if the Wolf King scolded a peak major primal core brat to his face, he would have to behave himself and not retort. Xiaochen sneered in his heart. He saw the changes in everyone's expressions. He stretched out his left hand and instantly formed the Buddhist 7-kill seal. It was like a lotus flower never touching water, or like the sun and moon never hanging in the sky. The instant the hand seal formed, Xiaochen's heart entered an ethereal state. However, the killing intent hidden in his body was multiplied 7-fold, and it exploded out violently. Xiao! The killing intent that pervaded the air instantly seemed to materialize, causing everyone to have difficulty breathing. A few of the weaker ones trembled as sweat poured out of their foreheads. Their complexions paled to the extreme. Xiaochen's killing intent was very horrifying in the first place. After it was multiplied 7-fold, how terrifying would it be? This was simply unimaginable. This is a personal grudge. Unrelated people, quickly go away. Xiaochen said indifferently as he stared at the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan. If someone's soul energy reached the level of a holy venerate, they would discover that the killing intent that Xiaochen gave off was pitch black, like the claws of a monster sweeping through the surroundings. However, Xiaochen's body gave off a faint light, appearing ethereal. Bang! Right after Xiaochen spoke, the guests who came felt like they were relieved of a heavy burden. Using all the strength in his body, he smashed the windows one by one and fled as fast as he could. The many guests in the courtyard watched every movement on the top floor. Such a scene immediately caused a huge commotion. What's going on? The people attending the main banquet all flew out. There is killing intent. What a strong killing intent. Could it be that someone is challenging the Wolf King? When the window shattered, the people below sensed Xiao Chen's killing intent uncontrollably. The noisy birthday banquet immediately fell silent. All the guests put down their wine cups and looked at the top floor in confusion. They did not know what exactly happened. On the top floor, the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan's complexion had already turned ashen. However, he did not dare to act rashly. The previously noisy main banquet emptied out in an instant, leaving only his subordinates and himself. The unrelated people were all frightened by Xiao Chen's sevenfold killing intent, not daring to remain. When Xiao Chen revealed that horrifying killing intent, no one dared to doubt Xiao Chen's strength anymore. They were all people who cherished their lives. How could they dare to get involved? Kill him! The Wolf King roared, unable to endure Xiao Chen's killing intent. The people behind him endured the pressure and wanted to charge over. However, this was the opportunity Xiao Chen was waiting for. He was waiting for the sevenfold killing intent to make them irritable and reveal openings in all aspects. Xiao Chen instantly drew the tyrant saber. After completing the starting stance of the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, resolving the mundane condensed an eternal saber light and swept it out. Boom! The moment the saber light appeared, all the might of the seven-kill seal, which had been storing up power for a long time, infused into this saber. The Wolf King's subordinates cried out miserably as they bore the brunt of the attack. The saber light knocked away the roof beams, leaving only Xiao Chen standing upright with his saber, and the Wolf King Jiang Hengchuan, who blocked the saber light. Several of the Wolf King's subordinates blocked in front. The Wolf King dodged the greatest impact of resolving the mundane's sevenfold killing intent, and suffered only 30% of its might. Even so, he still sustained significant injuries. The main reason was that Xiao Chen's killing intent was simply too vast. The impact it brought him felt even more terrifying than that of a middle-stage star venerate. Someone really wants to kill the Wolf King. How bold! What a terrifying saber light. Combined with that overwhelming killing intent, he actually managed to force back the Wolf King's bodyguards with one saber strike. Who is this white-robed bladesman? I don't think I've heard of this person in the Grave Sea. The guests who were watching this scene were all shocked and dumbfounded. It was already unexpected that someone dared to cause trouble at the birthday banquet. What was even more unexpected was that it was such a young bladesman. Inside and outside, all the guests in the courtyard stared fixedly at the top floor, completely lost in their own thoughts. The Wolf King wiped off the blood from a corner of his lips. Then he looked at Xiao Chen and smiled. I once thought about this scene many times. Who would be the first to step forward to challenge me? However, I never expected it to be an arrogant and conceited brat. No matter where you learn the secret technique to make your killing chi so terrifying, you will definitely die today. Today, you will die without a doubt. Who do you think you are facing? You are facing the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group. It is the entire Wolf Smoke Pirate Group. It is the pack of wolves that have walked through mountains of corpses and seas of blood with me, Jiang Hengchuan. Where is the pack of wolves? Jiang Hengchuan's tone became increasingly agitated, and his voice slowly turned resonant. In the end, it sounded like rumbling thunder, deafening and making everyone's blood surge and their bodies tremble. Whoosh! Many figures soared into the sky from the ground. The members of the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group filled the sky, surrounding the entire tall building in 3 layers from the inside and 3 layers from the outside. In that instant, countless eyes stared at Xiao Chen. They were like hungry wolves staring at their prey. Xiao Chen casually looked around. With a rough count, there were at least 1,000 people, all of them elites of the Wolf Smoke Pirate Group. Seeing that Xiao Chen did not show any fear on his face, Jiang Hengchuan felt slightly startled. After some thought, he said, "Interesting. Even the Savage Blood Star Venerate back then was not this bold, daring to come and kill me alone." "Kill you?" Xiao Chen shook his head and said, "You are overthinking. I only came here to ask for an answer. However, it does not matter now, as you indeed deserve to die." The Wolf King smiled and said, "There are many people in this world who deserve to die. I will die as well, but not now. Today, there will only be one person who deserves to die, and it will be you." The Wolf King's voice suddenly turned cold. As he looked at Xiao Chun, he ordered coldly, "Kill him." The Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's members in the surroundings did not hesitate to launch themselves at Xiao Chun. The ferocious howls of the pack of wolves sounded like a tsunami, changing the color of the sky. The Wolf Smoke Pirate Group's members moved out at the same time. Until now, they had never failed. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.